Elizabeth Clark for having him falsely arrested. Elizabeth says William threatened to kill her. She is countersuing for harassment.
Mr. Bell, you are suing the defendant for having you falsely arrested on charges of threatening and harassing her. She is counterclaiming for harassment. Let me understand the relationship. You have a girlfriend, or had a girlfriend. The defendant is a friend of your former girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
You were having some difficulty with the girlfriend. You called the defendant to sort of act as an intermediary and to talk to her and see if you could put things back together again. The defendant then called the police and said that you had threatened her. You were arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you call her?
February 17th of 2001.
Had you ever called her before?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And tell me about the conversation that you had with her.
I didn't have a conversation with her. I got her voicemail.
Okay.
And I left a message who it was, and I was staying at Baymont Inn Motel. Could you please give me a call?
Why were you staying at a motel?
I had moved out of my girlfriend's house.
So you and your girlfriend had lived together and
Yes,
had
we're
a problem?
together now. Yes.
You are back together
Yes,
now?
we've been together, yes.
So you went out and stayed at a motel?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you left a voice message, and I assume she called you back.
She called me back, ma'am, approximately 4:30, 5 o'clock that evening.
What was the conversation?
Her first question was, when I answered the phone, is this Bill Bell? And I said, yes. She says, William Bell. And I said, yes, it is. Then she started getting very belligerent.
Don't tell me belligerent. That's a conclusion, Mr. Bell. Tell me what she said to you.
She was cursing at me for calling
Tell
her.
me what she said. I'm a big girl. I'm over 21. I know that's hard to believe, but I am.
You want...
I want the words she said to you, that you claim she said to you.
She called me I don't want to say something, mother. I saw
Yes.
that I was going to get her fired from her job for calling her work.
When did you call her work?
I found out later that the number I called, which was her home phone number, is a work number at her home.
Okay, so first she cursed you, you say, because she called her at her work number. And then what did she say to you?
She told me that she was going to get even with me for calling her. And I apologized for calling and leaving a message on her phone.
Well, what message did you leave on her phone?
Just my name and the phone number where I was at.
Okay.
And I told her I was going to hang up. And she says, if you hang up, you're going to pay for it big time. And I went ahead and hung up anyway, because I'd already apologized and she was still cursing me.
And when were you arrested, sir?
A while later, that they had a warrant out for my arrest. And I talked to the police officer who had called the motel to get a hold of me and left a message.
No, look at me. Stop playing with your papers.
I called the officer back and he told me there was a warrant, and I went down. I believe it was in April. I went down and I turned myself in. Because I
didn't find out about this warrant until April?
No, ma'am.
What happened to the charges?
Well, the charges were dropped the 2nd of October because the defendant never showed up for court.
Okay. And do you have a copy of the complaint?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see that. And, Ms. Clark, I would like to see a copy of the police report that you made at the same time.
Okay. And he called me more than one time.
Wait. I'm going to get to you, I promise you.
Sorry.
When did you advise the police of these phone calls, Ms.
It
Clark?
was probably the middle of February.
Okay, just 1 second.
Okay.
So you did not call the police the day that he made the phone calls, the day that you had
Yes,
the
I did.
conversation? Oh, you
Yes, I
did?
did.
So
I
you
did.
called the police the same day. All right.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Clark, I would like you to tell me, he left a message on your voicemail to call him. The message that he left on your voicemail was not threatening to you.
No, it's when I talked to him.
So I am correct. It was not threatening to you, and you knew who he was because...
This is the first time I've ever seen this man.
But you knew who he was because of your girlfriend.
Right.
That's what, just pay attention.
Okay, sorry.
Now, I want you to tell me your version of the conversation.
Okay, I work 2 jobs. I also work at a golf course.
Is this relevant to my question?
Yes, it is. He went into my employer, who I have a letter from, was asking for my address and my phone number. Since then, I don't even know this man. He's taken me to court and
I want you, Ms. Clark, to answer my question.
Okay.
My question is, I want you to tell me what the phone conversation was when you returned his phone call.
He wanted me to get his girlfriend.
Tell me what he said.
He wanted to know if I would call Lou and get them back together, reconcile their differences.
And what did you say to him?
No.
Did you tell him why? Mm-hmm. What did you say? Tell me what you said.
I said, because I think that what you did was wrong, and I think she's better off without you.
And what did he say in response?
And then he's got aggravated.
That's a conclusion.
Okay.
What did he say?
He said, well, that doesn't help me out a bit. And I really don't recall the rest of the conversation. It was a long time ago.
Well, you have to tell me the rest of the conversation. That's the basis of...
just more or less said that he wanted me to call Lou, and he said, you're the only one she'll listen to, and you need to get this situation taken care of for me or else.
At that point, did you hang up on him?
I don't recall.
Or did you have any further conversation?
He called so many times on my caller ID, it was...
Okay. Now, did you ever speak to him after that?
No.
You never spoke to him after that?
Nope.
And the conversation that you just relayed to me is, to the best of your recollection, the sum and substance of the conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
Then, Ms. Clark, I'm going to ask you the following questions.
Okay.
It's clear to me that you said, I'm not going to help you. He said, that doesn't help me any. You better help me or else. Those are pretty much his exact words, as you
pretty
remember?
much, yeah.
Then can you tell me why you told the police that he said to you, I will get you, I will kill you, just a second.
I'm sorry.
I will get you, I will kill you, I will kill you, and then I will kill myself.
That is true.
Well, Ms. Clark, I asked you 3 times.
I know, I'm sorry.
3 times what he said to you. Now, you got the police's attention, certainly, when you told the police, he said, I'll get you, and then I'll kill myself, and I'll kill Lou, and I'll kill everybody. It seems to me that that would be the first thing that you would say. Not forget it, but that would be the first thing. I will kill you is something that you remember, not I'll get even or you'll get yours, or I will kill you is something that sticks in your mind. In order to get to the police's attention, they say, well, that's really not a threat. You'll get yours is not a threat. I'll kill you is a threat that the police pay attention to.
I will get you.
I will get you is one thing, but I seriously doubt, based upon our testimony today, that he said to you, I will get you, which you didn't tell me. I will kill you. I will kill Lou, and then I will kill myself. Kill. That you remember, and that the police might respond to, but not, you'll get yours. Okay, now let's go back a second. You started to tell me that he's taken you to court 3 times.
Yes.
Now I want you to tell me about the 3 occasions when he's taken you to court.
Okay, he has put 2 restraining orders against me. The first time that I went to court is when I pressed the charges against him. He didn't show up. So
when was
that's
the
3
first
times.
time that he pressed charges against you?
April. And then after he hadn't shown up twice for court, it was dismissed with prejudice on August 16th.
So in April, he filed a charge against you for something. For what, Mr. Bell? For what?
After this deal
After
in
the
February,
warrant.
I had all the telephone calls we were getting and hang-ups. We were getting calls 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Did you know where they were coming from?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know where they were coming from?
Caller ID showed York equipment.
Boy, you think this caller ID was a wonderful invention, and it turns out it's used for all kinds of different things. All right, so he filed 2 restraining orders against you. You want to know something? It sounds like a little bit of an abusive process, but Ms. Clark, based upon what you did in having him arrested, I think that he was exercising probably restraint. I don't believe that there was any basis for you to have him arrested. I don't believe that he threatened to kill you. I believe that you got the police's attention. That's what I believe. Based on your testimony today, he never threatened to kill you. Never. All right. Miss Clark's statement to the police was designed to get their attention.
Because it was said.
No. It was not said, Miss Clark, because on 3 separate occasions, giving you every opportunity today to recount what he said to you, the most important thing would be, to any normal person, was he threatened to kill me by saying, I will kill you. I will kill Lou. Then I'll kill myself. Time and time again, all you said was, the last time around, you'll get yours, or I'll get you, or something like that. You left out, I'll get you.
That's after 10 or 11 calls, though, Your Honor.
Just a second. You never spoke to him again, madam. You spoke to him once, and then you said you did not take the other calls because you saw his caller
But he left
ID.
messages.
He left messages. Let me hear them.
I don't have them.
Well, it also seems to me, Miss Clark, that if someone threatened you with bodily harm to an extent that you called the police, and then if you were listening to messages, you would retain them, bring the tape.
I don't have
so
a
that
tape.
there would be no, you would get a tape. So the police could listen to them and then pursue this matter, because then you're dealing with a real nut. He's suing you for $5,000, which he is absolutely entitled to, and I am granting his judgment for $5,000 against you, and I'm dismissing your counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues.
I'm really glad it's over with.
I'm glad it's all over, Neil. Leave me alone now.
If you got a problem, take
35-year-old family support officer Monica Mathias and her husband, 40-year-old aircraft mechanic Joseph Mathias, are suing 39-year-old roofing contractor Glenn Matheson. The Mathiases claim Glenn's workers tortured their dog during a job at their house.
Order. All rise. Shh. Now, this is case number 29 on the calendar, the matter of Matthias versus Matheson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Matthias, you hired the defendant's firm to re-roof your home.
Yes, ma'am.
And you claim that in the process of working in your home, they tortured your dog.
That's correct.
They entered your home without your permission, or someone entered your home
correct.
without your permission. Nothing was taken, but you were forced to put new locks on the doors and windows. And you want the defendant to return the price of all the roofing materials that you paid for the house and for your aggravation.
Correct.
Okay. The defendant said his people didn't do anything and he should be paid for his work. I assume you were paid for your work, is that right?
No, I haven't been paid at all.
You haven't been paid at all?
No.
Okay. We'll see. What was the total cost of the job?
Total cost of the job after the second invoice was $7,597.
Can I see it, please? Did you give him any deposit?
No, ma'am.
So you gave him nothing?
No.
Did this price include the materials?
Yes, ma'am.
It did.
Yes, it did.
So you have paid for neither materials nor the roof?
I paid for the materials. Yes.
Who did you pay for the materials?
His supplier,
How much did you pay for his materials?
$2,400.
And is the material money that you want back?
Yes.
Okay. When were you supposed to pay him the balance?
I told him that I'd pay the balance after a person of the court told me to do so on good conscience. I cannot after what happened.
Okay. Now, you were not at home when this work was done.
I arrived home at 3 o'clock and 2/3 of the job was complete.
You have, I assume, a witness who saw what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the witness? I assume you're the witness. Step up, please. Tell me your name.
My name's Karen Dick.
Are you a neighbor?
Yes, I am.
How far away from the plaintiff's house is your house?
They live directly across the street.
Would you tell me what you saw on that day?
Yeah, typically I get up in the morning and I prepare dinner for the kids. So I got up and I noticed out the window that we have over the sink that the neighbors were having their roof done. I went on about my business, and then as I'm looking out the window, I was at the sink doing something. I noticed there was a sort of a large dog. It wasn't a big dog. It was tall, but it wasn't too big. I didn't really recognize it. I've only been in the home with my boyfriend about 8 months, so I hadn't really met the neighbors. I've only said hello to them. I noticed the dog was on Joe's front lawn, kind of in the middle of about 5 gentlemen who, it seemed like they were just kind of scurrying the dog. I didn't know if maybe the dog got out. They were concerned this dog's, interfering with their work, if they were nervous. A few minutes later, I came back to the sink. I now noticed 2 of the workers have hammers in their hand, and they're swinging at the dog. The gates open, so I realized that the workers must let the dog out. So at first I think maybe they're just trying to intimidate the dog.
What kind of gate was it? Was it a fenced yard?
It's a fenced yard, yes.
And you saw the
It was
door
open, yes.
Now, when you saw them swinging these hammers, none of the blows connected with the dog?
I did not see that, no.
Okay.
As I'm watching, though, the dog showing no aggression, so that wasn't the issue, and the dog is kind of scurrying back, and it's sitting back on its back legs, so it was surrendering. They could have easily put it back. At this point, now they're playing a game. The hammers are getting closer to the heads. They're laughing, they're smiling. They're going to hit that dog, so I'm screaming hysterically at the top of my lungs, please stop, what are you doing? And they get my attention, so I'm standing there to make sure they understand I'm standing there watching this. At this point, the 2 men walk away and the dog's still there. I go back into the home, and my boyfriend's mother, who's about 82, comes into the house, and I'm trying to explain to her, because her English isn't great, I'm trying to explain to her what's going on, and I'm looking out over her shoulder. At this point, I see one of the 2 gentlemen with a rope in his hand starting to do this, and I know what he's going to do. And I'm watching this, and before I can react, he's already got the dog by the 2 back legs, he's yanked the rope, and by yanking the rope so hard, he forced the dog to flip over on the back side, and from the left side of Joe's house all the way to the front side, to the far right side of Joe's house, through the street, not on the side, but through the street, he dragged the dog on the dog's back.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm fine.
Was there any, when he did that to the dog, when he tied the dog's back legs, were they still right near the fenced-in yard?
No, thank you. The gentleman that had the rope was standing in the street when he picked up the rope, because he's walking down.
So the dog had moved?
The dog really hadn't really moved. The dog was still in the grass, from what I recall. He's still kind of on the grass. He hasn't really gone anywhere. The gentleman takes the rope, and he's walking this way. So he had gone down, I don't know if it's truck, I couldn't see from my window, but he was coming back. And when he came into my view, that's when he had the rope in his hand, and that's where he took the rope to the dog's legs. As he dragged the dog through the street, that's when I ran back outside, and I wanted to make my presence completely known that I'm watching this and I'm seeing who's doing this. Because he's tugged the rope so tight, there was no way for the dog to break free for quite some time.
How did the dog
Just by wiggling and wiggling and wiggling. At this point, the dog was able to run up to the front porch, and as I'm walking, because I'm moving this way to see what's going on, the dog, I could see him burrow into the corner on the porch to just be left alone. The gentleman who had the rope walks up and kind of goes down and starts going, trying to get the dog to be nice. And I'm thinking, if you've done all this to the dog and you're not scared of the dog at this point, how could anyone even conceivably say that you were just intimidated by this dog and that's why you did any of this to get the dog back in the backyard? There was no intimidation by this dog. So I'm just standing there. I'm not going to leave until I can see this dog put back in the backyard. Eventually, the man does sit there. He pets with the dog, and he picks the dog up, and he does eventually put the dog in the backyard, close the door. I go in the house, and I don't know what to do. Again, I don't know the neighbors that well. I'm thinking, should I call the police? I don't want to stir something up, call the police, and then have a problem with the neighbors. So I'm thinking it's better for me to advise them first. I have to go to work, so I call my boyfriend, tell him what's going on, to please make sure that they're aware of what happened, to let them know when I come home from work, I will fill him in on the details. After I'd done that, I noticed the truck was open and I saw the phone number, so I called the number to see if I could talk to the owner of the company to tell him to please come out, and I would speak to him personally. When I called, the gentleman said that I'd have to leave my phone number, someone would have to call me back, and I wasn't comfortable with that. So I figure it's better for me to let things be until I get home to bring this out. And then that evening, that's when I went over and spoke to the Mathiases and told them what I had seen.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Monica and Joseph Mathias claim employees of contractor Glenn Matheson tortured their dog. The Mathiases say the workers hogtied their pet.
You also claim, Mr. Mathias, that the house was open.
Yes, it was.
Do you have a witness to that?
I have a witness from our mail carrier that said that she delivered...
No, you don't have a witness. If you don't have a-
you're correct. I do not have a witness. I have a letter from the mail carrier. Okay, the mail carrier stated to me...
You can't tell me what the mail carrier
Okay,
stated.
okay.
You can't give me a letter. I have to see a witness testify. You see, testimony is powerful. I can make a determination as to credibility, etc. There's no question that there was no property taken from your house.
I don't believe there was, no.
Good. You weren't there that day,
No, I wasn't.
so you don't know what happened.
Correct. Just from what my foreman, Bernie, just told me.
Okay. What's Bernie's last name?
Ramirez.
Mr. Ramirez, would you step up, please? You were supervising these men that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you watching them at all times?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see what happened with the dog?
Yes, I was there too. I was, when the dog came out, I
When
was
the dog
talking
came out of where?
from the yard.
How did the dog get out of the yard?
As one of my workers go inside to collect the electric power, the extension cord, and the dog, he leave the door open, and then that's when the dog come out.
So one of your workers allowed the dog to get out.
Right.
Were you told, sir, that there would be a dog there?
Paperwork that I provide suggests that they keep the dog at a neighbor's house or inside the house.
That's not what I asked
No, I
you.
didn't know there was a dog there.
Okay. Go ahead. So one of your workers let the dog out.
So the dog come out and start playing on the front yard, and I was talking to him by the phone, and so I saw the dog running,
Running in the front yard.
on the front yard, in and out, and then so I'm scared because I said, well, maybe the dog is gonna go away. So I tell my workers. So two workers come out from the roof to try to put the dog inside, back in the
Yes.
yard. But I never saw nobody hit the dog, nobody touched the dog.
No, there was no testimony that anybody hit the dog with the hammer.
Yeah,
There was
and-
testimony that they were motioning to the dog with the hammer. Did you see the dog being tied up by the back legs?
No.
Well, that happened because there is no question in my mind that this lady is telling me the truth. Any question in your mind that the neighbor is telling me the truth, sir?
I have no idea.
Well, I know, if you have no idea, I'm going to tell you that this lady is telling me 100% truthfully that the dog was tied up by the legs and pulled in the street. And if your worker, Bernie, didn't see that, then he didn't see everything. There isn't a reason in the world that this neighbor, who doesn't know these people from a hole in the wall, would come to court and lie for her and pick up the phone and call your company to tell your company,
I've got records that she didn't call.
oh,
I get a log of every call that comes into my office.
That somebody records.
Correct.
So nobody recorded. Just a second.
No, either name or number. They don't care. They'll record a message.
She
Whatever the
wasn't
message
leaving her
is.
name and number.
Correct. She left a message. I show no message.
That's your problem.
Well,
That's your problem.
it states that she didn't call me.
She called you.
She didn't.
Oh, yes, she did.
I don't have record of it. Every call that comes
Just
into my
because,
office
no, listen to me,
gets
sir.
recorded.
Listen to me carefully. Don't get defensive. You weren't there. Fortunately, you weren't responsible for this. But I can think of no reason why this woman, who is new to the neighborhood, would be so upset about what she saw to go outside, get the number from your truck, come inside, place a call, speak to somebody who said to her, according to her, which I believe 100%, leave me your number, somebody will call you back. She said, I'm not leaving my number, thank you very much, and she hangs up, and nobody records it in your log.
She said that they took a message to get me out to the job site.
No, that's not what she said. That's what you wanted to hear.
What
she said was, she wanted somebody to come to the job site, but they said to her, give me your name and your telephone number, and I'll have someone call you back. And she did not want to do that.
But she requested to leave a message. That message would have been taken and recorded
I didn't
and
say
sent to me.
Just to say, I heard what you said.
Correct.
You're not hearing what I'm saying?
I'm hearing.
I believe she called.
I don't believe she called.
Then that's your problem. Fortunately, I'm in charge. I don't know if Bernie is lying intentionally, or if he didn't see everything, or if he wasn't watching what was going on there. You think these people are trying to scam you out of a roof?
I believe they're trying quite a bit. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
No. I think that the men that you hired did not do the right thing that day, and they were very angry. Whether or not it translates into them suing you for $5,000, I don't know. But there's no question in my mind, after listening to Bernie and listening to the neighbor, that she is telling me the truth. Bernie, two things. He either did not see everything, or he's lying. Because he did not put the dog back in the pen.
I've never known
He
Bernie
did
to
not
lie.
put the dog back in the pen, Bernie. She says somebody came to the front door, one of the men came to the front door and ultimately picked up the dog and put it back into the yard after they got finished doing the stupidity that they were doing to this dog.
I was told the dog was dragged back into the garage. Getting a lot of conflicting stories.
Not
from
to
this
me.
side. Of course not.
Not to me.
I have.
Not to
I've
me.
received a number of different stories. And the dog doesn't get taken to the vet till 2.5 days, 3 days later, after I tell him, no, I'm not going to settle for this. I'm not going to take your word or your neighbor's word. I'm not going to give you financial benefit for this. I said, what do you want? He says, I want money from you. I own your company. I want a free roof. I said, I'm not going to give you a free roof. Well, I'll sleep on it. He sleeps on it, comes back and says, I don't want to pay your labors. You know they're lying to you. You know anyone will lie in order to get paid. Well, to this day, they haven't been paid.
Two people attached to your company did the wrong thing that day with the dog.
It wasn't proven. You have
It's
one
proved. Just a second.
You've
It's
got the
proven
vet
to-
who says there's nothing wrong with the
Just
dog.
a second. I didn't say that the dog was injured, sir. The dog was maltreated. The dog was
She could have
maltreated.
misconstrued what was going on in some parts, yes.
No, this lady didn't come out twice screaming because she was misconstruing what was going on.
She was concerned about how scared she was. Call the police. The police could have been there and taken care of everything. Everything would have been solved right then and there.
It's a possibility. She could have done that. She
But
could
she
have called the
didn't.
police.
So there was
Well, give
very-
me a reason. Think of a reason.
Why she didn't call the police?
No, think of a reason why she would lie. I can think of a reason why Bernie would lie.
Why is that?
Because he was responsible. He was the foreman on the job. He was responsible ultimately for the performance of his men and
He's
what they
performed
did.
jobs
I'm
for me for 12
speaking.
years.
I'm speaking. He was responsible ultimately for the performance. And if he came to you and said to you, I did in fact see two of my guys who didn't know what they were doing, who were just sort of fooling around with the dog, and one did put a lasso around the legs, but meant to put it around the head to get it back into the house, or he didn't see everything, or he figured, say nothing. I can
Bernie's
think of a
not the
reason
type
for
of
him
guy.
to lie. I can't think of a reason for her to lie.
And I can't think of a reason for him to lie.
Well, I can. So, and that's the only thing that counts. So, you have to prove damages to me, sir. What were your damages? So far, you got a $7,500 roof for nothing.
Yes, ma'am. The hardware replacement for the door locks and everything.
Listen to me. I'm not entertaining your claim for any door locks.
Okay.
Because as far as I'm concerned, they didn't do anything with regard to going into your house.
Okay, I felt in good conscience I should pay the materials for the roof. I'm not going to pay him until an officer of the court tells me to pay him for the labor.
Well, that's not...
Or anything like that.
Yeah.
The pet clinic was $31.
Let me see the vet reports.
And all the material has not been paid.
I have the receipt for that, Your
Material from
Honor.
ALL has been paid, but not material from my yard. Not all material came from ALL.
Your countersuit is for $4,500 for defamation of character and lost wages. The defamation of character, I assume, has to do with these people saying things about your business.
Correct. Contacting the Better Business Bureau, threatening to contact the newspaper, and degrading my company.
They are entitled to do that.
Your Honor, he's also put a lien on my house, I believe.
I have every right to lien the house. I haven't been paid for the
You're
job.
absolutely right. Is this lawsuit supposed to determine that?
No.
So then why am I hearing your countersuit?
It's not for the lien on the house.
Well, what is it for?
It's for loss of wages for my men for the day, loss
What
of
day?
work for today, for being here.
For today?
Correct.
Forget it. Your counterclaim's dismissed. I believe that they have a perfectly valid claim against you because I believe that the people who represent your company did the wrong thing that day. First, they negligently let the dog out of the yard. That, at least, we know from Bernie. And after that, Bernie told them to go and take care of it. Then one of them dragged the dog across the property, not even the property, not even the grass, but into the street,
With
in
no
the gravel.
damages to the dog.
What?
No injury to the dog. After all this horrendous treatment of the animal.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $5,000. You're pretty thick.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Bernie assured me it didn't happen, so I called him back and said, I'm sorry, I don't know what your neighbor's talking about.
Makes you wonder what kind of job they did on the roof, not to mention how they mistreated a member of our family.
No injury to the dog, no harm to the dog, hearsay by a neighbor.
The dog is nervous. She's afraid of loud noises now.
He was more concerned in what I was going to pay out before he took his dog to the vet.
Judge Judy was very insightful.
Student Lindsay Gilbert is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old sales rep Tim George, for 2 suits he charged on her credit card.
Order. All rise. Yes, this is case number 203 on the calendar, the matter of Gilbert versus George. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Gilbert, it is your claim that the defendant, with whom you lived for a period of time, owes you some money for charges that you allowed him to put on your credit card.
That's correct.
When did you live with the defendant?
We actually didn't live together. We were in a relationship for almost a year, beginning in September of last year.
And you say you never lived together?
No,
Just a second. I'll get to you in a minute. Did he ever stay in your home?
he did.
Who else lives in your home?
My daughter,
How old is she?
she's going to be 2 in October.
And when he stayed over in your home, did he ever stay over in your home for more than a day or 2 at a time?
Yes, he did. Sometimes he was in and out of homes at the beginning of our relationship, so he stayed sometimes.
So he didn't have another permanent apartment when you first met?
That's correct.
I
Stayed with his sister and me
I'll stay.
and some of his friends, different friends.
Okay. Now, at what point did you allow him to use your credit card?
After about 5 months of our relationship, we began talking seriously, and in February, the end of February of this year, he was working on a promotion and he needed to be more presentable, and because he has bad credit, he wasn't able to get any suits or anything, and I had good credit, and so he asked me to loan him some money so that he could buy suits.
And you have a credit card?
Yes, I do.
You have the February or March bill from 2001 with his purchase on it?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
Okay. Here's the February and March.
Thank you. There's one bill here that's underlined, March 9th, Junior Denim. What is that?
I believe the one underlined, is it Junior Denim? That would be my shorts.
Okay, so that's your bill?
Yes.
And all the rest of his, the polo stuff, ties.
Yes.
Did he pay anything towards the bill?
He paid one. The receipt is attached to the February bill. He paid in the amount of $60 in cash. And in the final arrangements of our relationship, it ended the 26th of May. We were meeting, talking about the bill at his sister's house, and he pushed me around and pulled my hair and stuff, and
stopped paying.
That's not true. If you can
Yeah,
see,
stop
I have
paying.
a restraining order against the defendant. I mean, against the plaintiff.
I've got
Okay.
police reports.
Okay, I don't need to look at the police report. We're not about police report. We're about shoes and ties and shirts. Okay, Mr. George, let's hear your version.
My version is I live in my apartment with my 2 best friends, Miles and Marshall.
I want you to listen to me.
Sorry?
I want you to look at me and speak slowly.
Okay.
You lived in your apartment.
Right, with my 2 best friends, Miles
Yes.
and Marshall. We had a nice place. When I met Lindsay, it was the first of, let me think, must have been right after we got back from Phoenix. We went to Phoenix for
I don't care why you went to Phoenix.
for New Year's, so it was right
I
after
don't
New Year's.
care.
January. It was in January. Okay. So we got back. We got a place together. Okay. I moved out of with them too. You know, and we got a
I don't
place
know.
together.
You mean she moved out of her old apartment?
No, she moved out of her mom or her grandma's house, and I moved out of Miles and Marshall's. You know, we all three lived together. They got another apartment. I went and moved in with her. I moved in with her.
Yes.
We lived together, and I work full time, about 50, 60 hours a week sometimes.
Yes.
She would take me to and from work, drop me off, pick me up from work most every day.
Okay.
I would just sign my paychecks over to her because we were, you know, talking about, you know, being serious enough to get married.
How much
That's
were your
not true.
paychecks?
My paychecks, I bring home about almost $2,000 every 2 weeks.
That was also untrue.
Just a second. So your defense to this action is that you paid for this by turning over your paychecks to her.
Of course,
Is that right?
my thing was I
Show
let her
me.
take care of the bills.
Show me.
I can't
Why not?
because I moved from Albuquerque to Phoenix, and when this case came up, I'm already living in Phoenix, so I go to the HR department at my job and I asked them, can I get some copies of those checks where it was signed over to Lindsay Gilbert? And then they said, you know what, we can't do that for you because there's just not enough time to do that. It's a very big corporation.
He did not sign checks over to me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lindsay Gilbert says ex-boyfriend Tim George charged clothes on her credit card. Lindsay says she wants to be repaid.
You have the capability, Mr. George, only you, of getting proof of your defense, which is that you signed checks over to her.
Right, and
And even if I believed you, sir, as of the time you separated in May, there was still an outstanding balance on this account.
I can't tell you what to do with the money that I gave her.
And it is clear that in...
It's clear you have no
I'm
idea.
speaking. I didn't hear what he said. Do I want to
I can say it again if you want.
Do I want to hear what he said? Why don't you go have a talk with him?
Okay.
Find out what kind of medication he's on.
What kind are you on?
Judgment for the plaintiff
You know what
in
you
the
need
amount
to
of
do?
$1,093.17.
You understand?
And you're just lucky, sir, that I'm not sending you out to be tested, because either you are drunk,
Look at him, what?
high, or stupid. Pick one. That's all.
Why is our excuse? You may step out.
Whenever we were together, I moved out of her house because she was real violent.
Not true.
I've always wanted to get up there and tell Judge Judy what I thought, so today I got to do it.
Never ever trust a guy with my money.
All parties in the matter of Yim versus Barbara. Step forward, please.
30-year-old clothing marketer O'Larry Yim is suing her ex-boyfriend, 41-year-old Patrick Barber, for the return of a computer. Patrick is countersuing for a separate computer.
Miss Yim, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were friends. Sometime in December of 1999, you purchased a computer. You already had a computer, but you bought a new one. A very expensive one. You say that since you didn't need both computers, you allowed the defendant to borrow it. And he had it in his possession for a considerable period of time. Sometime in the summer of 2000, you decided you wanted your computer back. Is that right so far?
Correct.
Defendant said, I thought it was a gift to me because I had done some work for her when she was on this trip to Cambodia, right? See how I read your papers?
Absolutely.
So what I said to you is, I've already put a lot of my software in the computer, let me buy you another one. And he bought another one, a laptop, which he gave you.
Correct.
And on what date did he give you the other computer?
I would say approximately July of 2000.
July of 2000. And you kept that computer for a while.
Yes.
For how many months?
I still have that computer.
Which you accepted. Is that right?
Yes.
Then you changed your mind because you say that it wasn't as good as the computer that you had let him borrow.
Correct.
Is that the idea? Is that this case?
More or less.
So now you want the value or the return of your more expensive computer.
Yes.
Wrong. Let us assume, Miss Yim, that you allowed him merely to borrow the computer. That's not what he says, but let us assume that's true. You allowed him to borrow the computer, and when you asked for it back, he said, it's been a long time, 6 months or 8 months or whatever it was, I put my software in it, let me get you a replacement. And you said, fine. And a year ago, he got you a replacement, and you accepted it. That means the contract is over. You took the replacement, you kept it, you've had it for almost a year, and the fact that you don't like it anymore doesn't mean that you can go back and get the original one from 1999. Do you understand?
I do.
Good, perfect. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't realize that's how it was going to go over.
The reality and the underlying story, that girl used to be my girlfriend.
I didn't even get a chance to speak.
As a gift, she gave me that computer.
I lent a computer. Within 2 months, he replaced it with something that was inadequate. I'd been trying to get it for 4 months, and I did not receive it, and so I just want the equivalent back or my money back.
I think she's a vindictive woman who just wants revenge.
23-year-old child care provider Erica Calderon is suing her former friend, 33-year-old salesperson Cammie Moore, for babysitting fees and the unpaid balance on a car.
Ms. Calderon, your complaint alleges two things. First, that the defendant, for whom you did some babysitting, owes you some money for the babysitting. Your second cause of action is about a car that you sold to her. She made partial payment on the car, did not make the rest of the payment on the car.
Correct.
Those two things.
Correct.
I gather that your arrangement was that you would accept as payment when you started to babysit for her whatever money she was getting from the state for child care.
Correct.
When did you start babysitting for her?
I first started babysitting for her in December.
How much were you paid a month by the state to babysit for her?
The first month I was paid like $272.
How many children were you caring for?
Just one.
And in the month of January, how much were you paid?
I was paid $300.
300 even?
$372 also.
And in February, how much were you paid?
Nothing.
Did you babysit for her in
Yeah,
February?
I babysat for her 2 weeks. And I was just doing it more of a favor for her.
So you babysat for her for 2 weeks as a favor?
Right. I did that because she had told me that she didn't want to leave her daughter with her mom because her mom was not fit to babysit her. And she didn't have anybody else to do it.
Was she working?
Yes, she was.
So what do you claim she owes you for babysitting?
I claimed that she owed me a total of $500.
Well, I know that that's what you claim. How do you get to that figure?
She had agreed to pay me whatever the state didn't pay me out of her pocket, but she was going to pay me $250 an hour instead of $213 an hour. But I also babysat for her while she went on a trip, and she had told me that she was going to pay me $160 for that, which she did not pay me for that either.
How many hours a day did you watch the baby?
I was babysitting her up to 18 hours a day.
Did you keep a log?
I kept a log, but I didn't bring it with me. But I have the proof saying that I babysat her that many hours that month that she also signed.
I'd like to see it. This is what was submitted to the state.
Correct.
Did you have an agreement with her to pay anything over
Nothing.
what the state provided?
Nope. I was under the understanding that the state would pay for any hours, hour to hour, dollar to dollar. I did not realize that there was a cap to it because I had used the state before and I have worked that many hours and my mom did take care of my child and I did choose Erica over my mother, which now I realize I should not have, but it was always paid. There was never any out-of-pocket expenses. But what Erica refuses to say is I did pay $25 deductible each month.
She paid me $25 a month one time, which was in December.
No, that's
But
not
then also she kept borrowing money from us, also to do laundry, for gas for her car,
And it was
for
paid
milk,
back.
everything.
You didn't do any babysitting for her after February. But then you sold her a car.
Correct.
And you sold her a car, according to you, for $600.
Correct.
And she had money to give you as a deposit of $200.
Right.
Did you at that time say to her, look, you still owe me money from the babysitting, so I'd like to treat some of this as babysitting money?
No. And the reason why I didn't do that was because she had told me when she got her income tax that she was going to pay us for the child care that she had owed us and also for the car when she got her income tax.
What kind of car did you sell her?
An 81 Toyota Tercel wagon.
For which she gave you a down payment of $200.
Correct.
Owing you $400.
Correct.
But then you took the car back.
We took it back because...
A month later.
Right.
So she had the car for 1 month.
Right.
And you took it back because she didn't pay you the other $400.
Right.
Did you give her back the $200?
No, I did not, because I had a
Or the
contract.
repairs.
Just a second.
I had a written contract that she was supposed to pay me the money, which she did not, when she got her income tax, which she did not.
So you got your car back?
Right. She broke the contract.
No, I did not.
Shh, just a second. I'll let you speak in a minute.
I'm sorry.
But you got your car back.
Right.
And you got your car back, and you kept her $200.
Right.
Which, as far as I'm concerned, covers your babysitting, any extras that you might have done for her. So I assume that the reason that you initiated this lawsuit was not for the babysitting money. The reason you instituted this lawsuit was because of the car.
Well, initially...
Because you would have initiated the lawsuit back in March if she owed you money.
Well, I kept giving her chances because, like we were friends. I wasn't doing it. Kept giving her chances. She wasn't working. She was working on and off. It was just
Friends don't sue friends.
Well, sometimes they do if they owe money. Were you supposed to get, I'm just curious, your arrangement was you were supposed to give her money, the other $400 for the car when you got your income tax. Is that right?
Before we even entered into the arrangement, she was sitting in her van and I said, listen, I want to help you because I know that I have, you've helped me in the past. I do not really technically want the car because it's neither here nor there.
Great. Please, you don't buy a used car because you don't technically need it if you don't have money.
No, I didn't technically want it, but I wanted to help them as much as, they say they helped me. But they know that there was problems with my tax return last year because of my daughter's name being hyphenated. I even reminded her of that. I said, listen, they've received it, they processed it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be here in 2 weeks. Do you understand that? Oh, yeah, I understand that. For 4 weeks after that, her or her husband was continuously asking me if I had got my tax return.
All right, so how much did you get back?
I only got $281. There was no way it would cover it. He came to get the car. She never came to get the car. He came to my door, knocked on the door, stepped away from the door, and started throwing my stuff out of the car up against the wall. Not only my stuff, but my mother's stuff that she just purchased too, with several things that were broken. I never once instigated any kind of an argument with him. I did not come out of the house. I called the police. I asked him not to do that, knowing that they have just as thin walls as I do in my apartment. They knew the problems that I was having with my daughter and that I needed that vehicle in order to suffice the things I had to do with her.
All right, so you didn't take the car because you were doing them a favor. You took the car because you needed it.
No, I could have bought a different car, but I didn't.
Don't think I'm foolish. People do not buy used cars because they want to do somebody a favor, especially somebody that has no money.
I guess I'm stupid and I do that.
No, you're not stupid. You're just trying to be sympathetic. But you took the car back. Was there any problem with the car when you took it back?
No, there was not.
So you have your car back. You can sell it again for $600.
Plus it has a brand new starter on it that went out 3 days after I got it.
Did you put in a new starter?
Yes, I did, and I never once asked them for it.
Just a second. How much was the new starter?
$110.
Okay, was there a new starter put in the car?
Yes, there was, but when she had told us about it, she told us that it had only cost her $60.
Whether it cost you $60 or $110, she put some money in the car, right? That you would have had to put in the car. Do you still have the car?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you still drive the car?
We're using it. Yes, we have.
So you're using it. So you have a car with a starter, you got a $260 profit, right?
Yeah.
Forget it. This is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it went just the way it should have went. I wish that I would have had the money to countersue at this point, though, for the $310 that I did put into the car.
I think it was really bad because she's an unfit mother.
Obviously, I must be a very good mother because I passed every test. I'm a single mother and I take care of my child very well.
She just didn't tell the truth about everything that needed to be said.
Do not trust your neighbors and do not enter into...
Harris and her boyfriend, 62-year-old pest control technician Dennis McGrew, are suing their former friend, 19-year-old construction worker Robert Pasco, for stealing their collection of Pokemon cards.
Order. Come to order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 114 on the calendar in the matter of Barbaros McGrew versus Pasco. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Ms. Barbaros, according to the complaint that I've read, you and your family have known the defendant from the time he was a little boy. And he grew up, he was in need of a job, and you gave him a job as a security person in your business. So far correct?
Yes, ma'am.
While he was acting in his capacity as a security guard, it is your claim that he stole a very valuable collection of Pokemon cards that you had kept in a safe or some sort of safe place in your place of business, and it is your belief that the defendant stole them. So far correct?
So far, so good.
The defendant says he did not do it. So tell me when he came to work for you.
Last summer, Robert came to me and said that his mother had thrown him out and he needed a place to live and a job. And I've done that before with Robert. I've given him jobs before. So I gave him my key to my building and I said, okay, you can sleep.
What kind of building is it?
Pest control. I own a pest control company.
That's incorrect.
Shh. Look at that. Go ahead.
I said, you can stay here at night and you can work during the daytime. We'll give you odd jobs with the handymen or going with the men, etc.
Okay.
And he did that. Erratic at best. I called his mother and let her know that he was there. And he became irresponsible. We took the key back.
When did you take it back?
2 to 3 weeks after he first came.
Go ahead.
Several of Robert's friends, I don't remember now if it was 4 or 5 of them, came in one day and they said that we're returning your property. Robert stole your cell phone, a gold watch, and Pokemon collections. He sold the cell phone to us, and he's selling the Pokemon cards in Creekside, which is an apartment building in the back neighborhood.
All right, now you can't tell me what these people said to you, but you can tell me what they did. They came into your place of business with property.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when had that property been stolen?
Probably the day before or 2 days before. The same day we took the key back.
Where was the Pokemon collection kept?
In glass cabinets and in the office.
When did you notice it missing? Immediately?
No, I didn't notice them missing until they came in and told us that he was returning the cell phone and that he had Pokemon collections, the books.
Okay. Did you go over to Creekside?
Mr. McGrew did.
What happened when you got there, Mr. McGrew?
Tried to confront Robert. He ran.
Where did you confront him?
In Creekside Apartments.
Was he in an apartment or was he outside?
No, he was outside.
Did he have anything with him?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
What did you say to him when you approached him?
I asked him for my Pokemon cards.
They were your cards?
Her and I had purchased them together for the 2 kids here and 2 godchildren.
So you went over to Creekside to try to confront Robert. Who saw you, you say he ran.
Yes.
But he had nothing with him.
No.
Did you ever get back any of the property?
Some of the Pokemon cards got back through school, through his little brother. He was passing them out.
Whose little brother?
Robert's. He was passing them out. Robert had given him the cards.
You don't know that? You didn't see that. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Did you see that?
I have them.
You have the cards that were given back to you that were in the possession of his younger brother.
Yes.
How old is your younger brother?
8 years old.
Your younger brother didn't have a key to the premises, did he?
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, they were cards. I'm not speaking to you.
My mom can verify that, Your Honor. They had given my little brother some cards. My mom can verify that.
Did you ever confront Robert about taking the cards?
Yes, I did.
When?
When I caught him at Creekside Apartments. He admitted,
That same day?
Yes. And he admitted to me at that time that he took them and that there was no way I could prove it.
What did he say?
He said, I took your Pokemon cards and there's no way you can ever prove it.
What did you say to him?
I can't say that here.
Yes, you can.
I told him he's a lying.
You said that he ran from you.
He ran from me.
Tell me about how you approached him.
I pulled up to the street. I told him to get in my truck. He got in my truck. I started to drive. He got out and ran away.
Just a minute. So he didn't run away initially?
Oh, no, because I grabbed him by his arm.
We're not following each other. I'm going to get this story my way. You drove up in your truck to Creekside.
Yes.
Did you get out of your truck?
Yes.
What did you do when you got out of your
He
truck?
walked up and acted like nothing was wrong.
So he
Still a
didn't.
friend.
So he didn't run away initially.
Not until I put him in the truck.
What did you say to him when you got out of your truck?
I confronted him about the Pokemon
What did you say to him?
I asked him, where's my Pokemon collection?
And what did he say?
He said he didn't have it.
And what did you say to him?
I told him to get in the truck. We're going to go back to the shop.
And what did he say to you?
He got in the truck. Then I started to take off and he jumped out and ran.
And that was what happened on that day. Is that right?
No, I went back to the shop. A friend of mine came back with me to Creekside, found Robert, trapped him upstairs on some steps. He was hiding up behind this big guy, friend of mine. And we had the police called.
Yes.
Police came, did nothing, took him in on some warrant that he had.
Just a second. When you had him trapped in the stairwell, was there any conversation that you had?
Yeah, he told me that he did it and there was no way I could ever prove it.
Is that when the conversation took place with regard to the Pokemon cards?
Yes.
Did you tell that to the police?
Yes.
When the police came?
Yes.
Did they write it down?
They took a report.
Do you have the report?
No, I do not.
Why not?
Because it was never filed. They don't file reports in Simi Valley.
Of course they do. You don't have the police report?
There was never a police report made, Your Honor.
There was a police report,
There was a
Your
police
Honor.
report made, the officer's name.
Why didn't you get a copy of the police report?
They never filed their police report. They have a number 0018796 of
That's
some
a
report.
That's a report. Listen,
Yes.
police respond, they have to file a report whenever they respond to a location. Do you understand that?
Not in Simi Valley.
Simi Valley is still part of this world.
Not
Still
really.
part of the United States.
Not really.
There's no crime.
We don't have crime in Simi.
Everything's civil.
Your Honor, if I may say,
Sure.
he did
I'm not
actually-
ready for you yet. I'm not ready for you yet. I'm not
Not
so
yet.
sure you didn't do this.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
You understand clearly what I'm saying to you.
I understand.
I have very, very good intuition. Very good intuition.
I understand.
Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Portia Barberis and Dennis McGrew say former friend 19-year-old Robert Pasco stole their collection of valuable Pokemon cards. Robert says they've got the wrong guy.
Now, how many times have you been arrested?
Few.
How many?
3 or 4.
For what?
Drugs.
Drugs.
Under the influence.
Using or selling?
Using.
Ever been arrested for possession?
No.
Of course, you had to have them in your possession in order to use them,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
What kind of drugs were in your possession when you were arrested?
I was under the influence of a controlled substance.
What?
Methamphetamine.
Where did you get them?
Friends. Wherever
That costs money.
I never...
Listen to me. That costs money.
Sure.
How old were you when you were arrested for the first time?
16,
How old were you when you started to work for them?
17, between 17 and 18.
How old were you when the Pokemon cards were stolen?
18.
Immediately prior to the Pokemon cards being stolen, when was your last arrest?
When I was 18.
Was it before or after the confrontation with the plaintiffs?
Before.
Before.
Yes.
How much before?
Maybe about 4 or 5 months before.
And what happened with that case?
I was put on probation, went to jail for 3 days.
And prior to that, were you also placed on probation?
To another charge? No.
One of the 3 or 4 other cases of arrest.
I was placed on probation once, and that was for the drug. That was it.
What happened to the other arrests?
They were just put all together into one. I got charged with diversion. I got put on diversion.
You got a forfeit.
I got put on diversion. I violated it. They reinstated it when I messed up and got the other ticket.
Since July of 2000, have you been arrested?
Yes, I have.
Huh?
Yes, I have.
Yes. For what?
Failure to appear.
Failure to appear for what?
Court date.
Don't play
It was
with me.
diversion. I violated my diversion again. I did not finish
How
my
did you
classes.
violate your diversion?
Did not finish my classes.
What about drug screenings?
Never had one dirty test, Your Honor.
So why were you violated?
For not going to my diversion classes. They're drug
Why
meetings.
didn't you go to your diversion classes?
No real excuse. I just didn't have the money at the time to get out there. It was in a different valley.
Well, what are you doing now?
Right now, I'm working.
For whom?
My mom's friend is a construction worker doing concrete.
How long have you been working for them?
Just for about a week and a half.
And before that, what were you doing?
I've had many jobs. I mean...
You can't hold on to a job if you're doing meth. You know that.
That was before that, Your Honor. I've been clean for quite a few months now.
How many is quite a few months?
4.5 months.
Were these people nice to you?
In the beginning, yes, Your Honor, they were. They opened their arms and they did let me stay in there and they did offer me a job.
And that was at a time when things weren't going so well at home, you were using drugs off and on, you were arrested a lot.
Correct.
Did you need money back in the summer of last year?
No. I just needed food in my stomach and a place to sleep.
Well, you were using some drugs last summer.
Not at the time when I was homeless. When I got kicked out, I just stopped using drugs. I couldn't afford it, Your Honor. I was worried about...
afford it if you sold Pokemon cards.
Never stole those Pokemon cards, Your Honor.
You liar.
For one, Your Honor, I was never given a key to stay there. They would never give me that key, Your Honor.
What, Robert? Robert.
They never gave me a key there.
Just a second.
No, you guys never gave me a
Shame
key.
on you.
Just a
You
second.
had my key.
Just a second. Did you
Shame on you.
physically give him the key?
Yes, I did.
Tell me when.
When he first came there and said he didn't have any place to stay, I called his mother. She said, okay, I know where he's at. And I gave him my key.
She never gave me her key, Your Honor.
Yes, she did.
No, she did not, Your Honor.
Of course she did.
She didn't trust me enough to give me her key. Okay, one of my friends had stolen that cell phone. When my friend came in there and stole that cell phone,
Nobody trusts him enough.
Listen, now leave. Leave.
So the cell phone had been stolen by one of my friends, and I took responsibility for that and told him to go turn it back in because it was my job that was getting...
Just a second. Now we're getting somewhere, Robert. How did you know one of your friends stole the cell phone?
He told me.
The cell phone was in the office.
Correct.
How did your friend get into the office?
Doors open all the time. They're open 24/7. I was not with him, Your Honor. He had showed me the cell phone. He said, look, I took this from Dennis. I said, well, you got to return it because you're going to get me in trouble. They're going to think I stole it. You got to go return it.
What's his name?
Kevin.
Where does he live?
In Simi.
And so you're telling me that this Kevin is the one who stole the cell phone.
Correct.
And because you told him to go return it, he went in and returned the cell phone.
Yeah, it was my roof over my head and the food in my stomach. I wasn't ready to risk it. He was a friend, but not obviously a good one. Stealing from my work.
Did you come into some money recently?
Not recently, but it's...
When?
It's supposed to come in, Your Honor.
How much money?
$2 million.
$2 million.
Correct. For a wrongful death of my father.
Mm-hmm. When was the last time you lived with your father?
I never lived with my father.
I would assume that that's one of the reasons why you've pursued this.
I didn't know that.
2 days after my mom had called her and told her about my father dying, she decided to file a lawsuit because she knew I was getting some money. I had seen Dennis in the pawn shop. He confronted me. He said, started saying all these words to me, bad words. I hope you die exactly how your father died. If not, I would do it myself, but I want my money. It's exactly what he said.
Your Honor, do the boys get to speak?
About what?
About getting the cards back from Austin and the time that I saw Patty in the parking lot and I reached into her front seat and picked up a $500 card that belonged to this collection.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to know when that happened. Patty is his mother?
Yes.
Okay, let me hear.
She pulled up to the parking lot when I was picking the kids up from school, and I went over to her and I said, it's probably not a good idea, because I had gone to the principal. about 3 weeks after this whole thing happened, and I says, it's not a good idea for Austin to be bringing these Pokemon cards to school and are giving them to friends. These are some valuable cards. And I opened the door and I was talking to her, and I reached on the seat and I picked up a Blastoid, first edition Blastoid, Japanese. And I says, there's one of them right there. And she said, well, take it if it belongs to you. I said, it's about a $500 card. And I says, no, you keep it, because when the police get around to getting there, you'll still have it and you'll present it to them. She says, well, I still have all the rest of them on the shelf at home. And then she called me and said that she found them in a dumpster. That they had found all of these Pokemons, all these valuable Pokemons. I mean, we're talking $5,000 right there in what we retrieved in the dumpster. So I immediately went to the dumpster. There was a lot of trash there, but there was not one card, not one piece of plastic, not one shred of all of these thousands of dollars worth of Pokemon that my collection.
You. Listen to me.
Okay.
I believe you.
Okay. Thank you.
How does that tie into him?
She has him in her car.
She says they found him in a dumpster. Do I believe her?
That was weeks later.
Do I believe her?
I don't believe her. I didn't believe it either.
No.
You haven't heard the truth yet. I don't have a car, first off. I have a truck. She couldn't even see into my truck to see on my seat. She's not tall enough.
Open the door.
Oh, you opened my door now. Okay.
Hey, we have the cards with his name on them.
With whose name on them?
His name. This is his collection. The cards that were stolen are in his possession now with the values on them and his name on them.
Yes.
He has those.
Where did you get
them from? Robert's little brother.
I understand that. There has to be a nexus between Robert's little brother.
Big little brother said big brother gave him to him.
Listen to me. That's hearsay. Now, if you were in a criminal court and the little brother were here or in the courthouse, so that a judge could say to the little brother, where did you get those cards from? Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I understand, and I understand the little niche in the law there.
It's not a niche in the law.
It's going to help him be found not guilty, so that 6 little kids have lost their Pokemon collection.
They've lost it anyway.
That's true.
They've lost it anyway.
But at least they have got justice if you decide that he did this.
I'm telling you, I told you that he did it.
I agree.
I believe he did it.
It doesn't mean justice is going to be served here.
You're absolutely right. Robert, I want to tell you something. There's a piece of me, sir, that says that you are either personally involved or know how it came about that this valuable card collection was stolen. This is a card collection that has probably been in the same location for a very long time. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, ma'am.
It just so happens coincidentally that some meth freak who they gave a break to was living in the back room at a time when the Pokemon cards disappeared. Now, I don't believe him that you confessed. I don't believe him that you confessed. I believe you did it. I would love to be able to make a legal finding that you did it, but I don't believe you confessed. I just want you to understand me. I believe you did it, but I don't believe you confessed to him. He's a hothead. He thought that that would make a very good part of the case because he was told by the police in Simi Valley that's still part of this universe I'm speaking, that without a confession you have no case. So I believe that he made that up. But I think you did it. I can't make a judgment, but I think you did it. Only you know whether you did it or not.
I know.
Oh, I know.
I know I didn't.
Oh, I know you did. I feel it. But that's not what courts are about. Now, the fact that the mother makes up some cock and bull story that they came from a dumpster, right?
Good one, huh?
It's a good one. It's a good one.
You haven't heard from me. You haven't heard from me what the story is. You've heard from her.
Oh, I want to know it well. You want to tell me that your son told you that his older brother gave him the cards?
My son can tell you because my son was with me, calling me at school.
I don't want to
tell you.
I listen to
He'll
me.
tell you. He was with me when we found him.
She had given him cards.
And I don't know that they were her cards. They were in baggies, a bunch of them. I don't know that they were hers. I called her immediately when I found them.
Stole the cards. Isn't a question in my mind. He knows it, I know it, and he knows that I know it. But she can't prove it. So, live with it.
Why didn't she come to my house and get them?
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I understand Judge Judy's position. Her hands are tied.
You know, Justin proved itself. I didn't do it.
Like she said, she knows he did it. He knows he did it.
And I told the truth.
He's lying through his teeth.
And I had nothing to do with it.
I don't believe my son did take them.
I have folders of my initials on them. He was stupid enough to leave my initials on them.
If I'd have known about the cards getting stolen, if my friend had done it, if anybody had done it, I'd have told him.
Give me a break.
He assaulted me before, he hit me. He could say all he wants to say about my dead dad. Doesn't bother me.
Homemaker Michelle Kelly is suing her ex-boyfriend, 26-year-old construction worker Jason Watwood, for an unpaid loan and and for an assault. Michelle claims Jason knocked out her tooth.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 104 on the calendar in the matter of Kelly versus Watwood. As I've been sworn in, Judge, you may be seated.
Thanks,
Young
Bert.
man, have a seat. You're welcome, Judge.
Ms. Kelly, the defendant was a former boyfriend of yours. According to your complaint, he owes you for two things. A loan that you made to him while you were dating in the amount of $1,200 to fix his truck. And then is your claim that he assaulted you sometime afterwards, causing you to lose a front tooth. You wanted to pay for the dental work. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When were you dating the defendant? What month and year?
Jason and I met in like the end of February of last year.
When did he move in with you?
About 3 months after we met.
And when was this loan made?
It was in December.
Tell me the circumstances of the loan.
Jason bought a 69 Chevrolet pickup truck. At that point it broke up. And we got back together, and he had the truck for like a month, and the truck broke down on him.
When you say you broke up, did he move out of your house?
Yes, ma'am. He moved
Well,
out.
when did he move out? Moved in May of 2000.
Right, when we lived together about 6 months. And then he moved out, which Jason was always coming and going and living with me, between me and his mother. And so during this time that he buys his truck, we're getting back together, and he's starting a new job, and the truck breaks down on him. I'm having to take Jason back and forth to work. Well, during this time, he puts the truck in the shop, and he was asking me if I would loan him the money and that he would pay me back.
And he was not living with you at the time?
Yeah, in December, yes, ma'am, he was living.
He was?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, there came a time when you claimed he assaulted you. When was that?
That was in the end of December, 1st of January. Jason and I started talking about him not paying me back any of the money. And he had been drinking, and he became very violent and was very upset with me, and said that he had been giving me, money for living in the house, which I'm not denying the fact that Jason would give me $100, $150 every paycheck, but it did not consist of anything concerning the amount of money that I loaned him for the truck.
Okay, so what happened?
Well, like I said, he was, very upset with me. He had been drinking. He threw me down in the kitchen floor, and I have hardwood floors through my downstairs, and I hit my mouth, which my son is here as a witness of that. And once I broke away from that situation with Jason, I ran into the living room. That's when my son appeared in the living room. He also was on Jason, trying to help me get Jason off of me. And when I finally was away from him, of course, my mouth was bleeding, and I go to the restroom, and my tooth had been knocked out.
Can I see the bill from the dentist for that?
Yes, ma'am. I also have a letter from the dentist.
Did you file a police report?
No, ma'am, I did not. I'd had Jason arrested before for assault, and went to court and helped him get out of that like a fool, but I did.
When was that?
That was back in probably August.
And then you took him back into your house?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Your Honor, I didn't voluntarily move in with Michelle. She had asked me several times to move in with her. I stayed with her a good bit, but I didn't want to move in with her because I wasn't making a whole lot of money. I was working construction, making cash money. While I was at work, Miss Kelly went to where I was living, and she got my clothes and brought them to her house. That's how the moving in arrangement. She wanted me to move in. I said, look, you've got payments that I can't support you with, which that's fine. I make plenty of money, so don't worry about that. So, no, I can't do that. Well, she went and got my clothes anyway.
So why don't you go get your clothes back?
Well, I thought if she wants me to move in this bad with her, then I mean,
Don't speak to him. No, I'm just asking you. You're a big guy. You work construction. You work off the books. You get paid in cash. You sound like a pretty smart guy. So if somebody takes your clothes and moves them into the house and you don't want to go, you say, gee, I like you very much. I'm going to move my clothes back.
Yes, ma'am. I agree. I should have done that.
Well, you didn't. So, and how long did you live there under duress?
From about April to about beginning of January.
So that's a long time that you were living there in slavery.
I'm not complaining.
You're not complaining. So you lived there.
Yes, ma'am.
And what? And how much money did you give her while you were living?
I would give her, my check was usually somewhere between $300 and $500. I'd give her all my money except for about $50. Well, the situation was, if I got paid by check, I could not give her the check to deposit in her bank account because she lives off of her dead husband, and she makes more than $7,000 or $9,000, I forget which one it is, a year, that she gets penalized on that money. So she wanted me to cash my check and just give her the money, and I would keep $40 or $50 for me spending money for that week, and she'd make sure that I had whatever I needed at home, which was fine.
Okay, good. So,
as far as the tooth.
No, don't go to the tooth yet. I'm still with the truck.
Okay. Now the truck, I took it to Lake, or actually I had Lake City Auto come and get it. I would go down to pay it, and Michelle would not want me just to give them cash money because if they said we didn't pay any money on it, If she just wrote a check, me give her the cash, then we'd be able to trace it and show me, look, we paid with a check, we'd be able to trace it, which at the time seemed like the right thing to do.
So how much money were you giving her every month?
At a minimum, $200 per week, at a minimum of $800 per month.
And you considered the money that she wrote for the fixing of your truck money that you had, in fact, contributed to the household?
No, ma'am.
You gave her additional money.
I would give her all my money just to where she would have money. I mean, I was the one that would give the lunch money in the mornings. I would take the kids to school. She's been to court probably several times for the kids being tardy from school, from absences. And if I had to take them several times, she'd have been right back there again.
That is not true, Your Honor. Jason did give me $80 towards the loan.
When?
He did do that in February.
Is that right?
Like the first week of February.
I gave her $80, but it wasn't for the loan. I was going to give her $100 to help her out. And she was grappling because all I was giving her was $100. And she started mouthing off. And so I pulled a 20 off of the stack of 20s. I said, you're down to 80. And so she hushed, and I gave her the money. And then, of course, when she got the money, she said her piece again and left.
So you paid her $80 back?
No, just to help her out, not as a loan. I give her money throughout the time that we was dating, and more so than my part of the bills. I mean, she'd have $600 phone bills and would get mad at me,
all yours,
and I would sit there and I would line them
directly
up. I said, well, let's calculate these and see how much mine are. So 1 month mine come to $24. The next month mine come to $26. So why would I owe her more than that?
Tell me about this incident, sir, where she says that you threw her down on the floor.
She didn't like my hours at my new job. I'd get home about 9:30 or 10 at night. Well, she couldn't stay home. She had to go out. She had to go out drinking. Well, I get home, and the kids would be a little worried. Was Mom coming home? Are you going to meet her? But no, I'm just going to hang right here. And then asked me to call her, so I'd call her. Well, she need to come home. Well, I'll come home when I want to. You're at work all day. I'm, entitled to go out and have a good time. Well, she come home, and then the night that she had come home, and the way it actually got into it, I was just trying to keep her from hitting me and kneeing me. And I would grab her or hold her to keep her from doing that. The reason why she was so mad was because one phone bill that we had, she couldn't find one of the pages. It just mysteriously disappeared. Well, I called the phone company and asked them to send me a copy of the bills. Okay, I asked her again, where's this page from the phone bill? Well, I don't know. I showed her the copy. It was the page that was missing, which was a page full of calls to her ex-boyfriend. And of course, that's when she went off. She was about half-time, and it made her mad, so she went off.
What time did this happen, sir?
This was probably around midnight.
Around midnight.
Between 11 and 12, I would say.
Can I speak, Your Honor?
Just a second. With the children? Shh. Is that when she came home?
She came home around, I'd say around 11.
She came home at around 11?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Step up next to your mom. I just have a couple of questions for you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Kelly says ex-boyfriend Jason Watwood owes for an unpaid loan and for knocking out her tooth.
Tell me your name.
Corey.
Corey, do you remember when your mom and Mr. Watwood had an argument?
Yes, ma'am.
What time of the day was it?
It was about 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock when?
In the morning.
Had you been sleeping?
Yes.
Do you remember what time you went to sleep?
About 9 o'clock, because it was a school night.
Was your mom home when you went to sleep?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know whether your mom went out again that evening?
No, ma'am.
You don't know?
No, ma'am.
Was Mr. Watwood at home when you went to sleep?
No, ma'am.
What time did you get home that evening, sir?
About 9:30.
When you got home, was the plaintiff at home?
Jesse and Corey was at home.
I asked you if the plaintiff was at home when you got home at 9:30.
No, ma'am.
The children were sleeping?
No, they were still awake.
Do you remember your mom going out?
No, ma'am.
You don't remember, or she didn't go out?
Well, I really don't know if she went out, but when me and my sister go to bed, she doesn't really ever go out.
What happened to wake you up at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Well, I was sleeping, and I heard a big noise, and downstairs, and I went and told my sister, and she just fell back asleep because she didn't hear anything. And I went downstairs, and I saw him hitting my mom. Well, not hitting her, but he had her down on the ground, and he wouldn't let her up.
In what room was that?
It was in the kitchen.
And what was your mom wearing?
She was wearing, I can't remember.
What was the defendant wearing?
He was wearing a white shirt and I think a pair of blue jean shorts.
And you don't remember what your mom was wearing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, sit down.
Your Honor?
What?
No, I'd just like to say that this is what Miss Kelly does for a living. She sues people for a living. And I've been at her home several times when she's prepped the kids as to what to say, what to do.
What kind of lawsuit, sir?
Corey got hit by a car a few years back, and the lawsuit went on and on and on. And instead of settling for, I think it was $70,000, she got greedy and wouldn't settle, so she ended up losing the lawsuit. And she's in lawsuits right now from her house, and she's suing four different people. And she's even told me that, you know, they've offered her $100,000 a piece, but she won't take it. She's going for $1 million a piece. That's what she does for a living.
I don't know if she does that for a living, so she has to do something else for a living. What kind of work do you do?
Actually, I'm a widow, and I'm a housekeeper. I take care of my children.
How much money do you get from Social Security?
$944.
A month?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other source of income?
Yes, ma'am. I have my child support.
From?
My children's father.
I thought you said you were a widow.
I am. My second husband was killed in a car wreck.
What's the amount of your child support?
Right now, it's $800 a month.
Okay. Now, are you telling me, Miss Kelly, that you had not been out that evening?
No, ma'am, I didn't. I would go pick him up. He worked 6 nights a week. His truck was in the shop. I took him to work every single morning and picked him up every single night.
When did the truck come out of the shop?
The truck was in the shop for over a month.
When did it come out of the shop?
At the end of December, 1st of January.
Well, then the truck wasn't in the shop at the time you say he assaulted you, because
No,
you'd
ma'am,
already given the money.
Yes, ma'am, it was after.
So then what were you taking him to work for?
Because when he got the truck back, it broke down again, and he has yet to even taken it back to see if anything that I had paid for that truck being fixed. He has not even taken it back to see if that was it. He's driving his father's Cavalier once again, and the truck's still sitting on the side of the road.
I just had to take it in one day. They put a new distributor cap on it. It was fine. It was January 10th when I got my truck out. Unless I'm mistaken, Tuesday through Saturday is 5 nights a week that I work, not 6.
And after that, the truck was not back in the shop?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Watwood, the only question that I have for you, I'm not satisfied that there was a loan for this truck.
Okay.
The only thing that I have to ask you is I want you to describe the incident that took place in the kitchen for me.
Michelle come in for being out. I was already there. When she come in, I said, Michelle, did you ever find the other page to the phone records? No, she never had found them. I said, well, just so happens I got a copy made. Here's the page that was missing. And that's when she went off, got mad. She was, like I said, she was about half tight. She had way too much to drink. She's the one that, when she loses her temper, she goes off. All I did, Your Honor, was just, when she was trying to hit me, I would hold her arms to keep from hitting me, and I would turn to the side to keep her from hitting me. And she was kicking and swinging so wildly that she fell when I was holding her arms because her feet just from trying to kick me.
Does the incident with the page from the phone bill sound familiar to you?
No, ma'am. I don't have a clue what he's talking about. He had a $600 phone bill.
The only thing that I ask you,
the
reason I ask you that, Miss Kelly, is in your complaint, you say that this fight took place in mid-December, not in January, because in this complaint you say, around the holiday times, I begged him to pay me back because I needed extra cash for presents. Did you forget that you wrote that?
No, ma'am. Actually, I didn't write that.
Let me see if you signed it. That is your signature, because it's the same as here, and you signed it, you swore to it, and you said, around the holidays, I begged him to pay me back because I needed extra cash for presents.
Right.
That's what you signed.
Right.
Case is dismissed.
Excused. You may step out.
I'm just glad that, Judge, you can see through her.
He's a loser, and I know what he is. And that's the bottom line.
It's completely bogus.
36-year-old caretaker Julie Castellano is suing 35-year-old hardware installer Hector Moreno Sr. and his son, 13-year-old Hector Jr. Julie says Hector Jr. threw an egg at her car.
Order. All rise. This is case number 33 on the calendar in the matter of Castellano versus Moreno. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Miss Castellano, you're driving along in your car and you hear something.
Yes, I did.
Tell me, describe what you heard.
It was just a loud thump.
A thump.
Thump.
A thump. That's what you said in here.
Yes.
A thump. What did you do?
I immediately pulled over and I noticed that there was egg on my vehicle.
So an egg hit your car?
It looked like maybe more than one, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it could have only been one egg because all you heard was one thump, right?
I believe so.
You heard one thump, you got out, you looked, and there was egg droppings on your car.
Yes.
And it is your claim that the defendant's son threw the egg. It caused damage to your car, which you estimated over $2,000.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so what makes you first think it was the defendant's son?
There was a group of children standing on the side of the road.
How many children?
Probably 3 or 4. And I went up to them and I said, you just threw something at my car, and they said, I'm sorry, and they seemed like they were a little bit afraid. And then the father came out, Mr. Moreno came out, and I told him that I believe your children had thrown something at my vehicle. And then he talked to his son, and then he came back to me and said he would take full responsibility for it. He told me to get an estimate, get the car washed, and he would take care of it.
Ms. Castellano, let us assume for the moment that the defendant's son was involved in throwing an egg at your car. You're the son?
Yes.
Who threw the egg at the car?
Juan.
Juan. Who's Juan? Is that a friend of yours?
Yes.
Step up. Did you throw the egg at the car?
Yes.
Did he throw anything at the car?
No.
Why'd you throw an egg at her car?
It was an accident, cause
You don't throw an egg by accident.
no, cause we played with an egg, and I threw it at him, and he like went down, and I threw the egg, and he hit the vehicle.
He hit the car. Did you tell this lady that you had hit her car with an egg?
No,
Why?
cause I was afraid.
Did you know who hit the car with the egg?
Yes.
Did you admit that you hit the car with the egg?
No.
No. Okay. But you say the father said he would take care of the damage. Now what I want to see, Ms. Castellano, is $2,369 caused by one egg hitting your car. That's what I found suspect.
It dented the vehicle, and that's why I thought maybe it was more than like a stone or something.
No, it was
It's
an
a
egg.
brand
You
new
saw
vehicle.
the egg on the car.
Yeah,
you said you saw the egg on the car. You heard one
Yes.
thump. So it was one thump, which was an egg. Not two, not stones, not rocks. You point to several different areas, madam. You've got dents in two spots on your car.
There is one major dent. Those are pictures that I did take of several different ways because it's a black Expedition.
No, you're
and
making circles in various places. One looks like on the bumper and one looks like on the side of the car.
There is on the side of the car scratches from what I brought it right over to get an estimate on this vehicle, and they noticed that there were from the egg or the stone, whatever it was that was thrown at my car. I know it was an egg, but it could have been something else with that because it scratched the side of my vehicle. It's a brand new vehicle, and I agree with you. I thought that it was a lot of money, but
It is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. And you're suing the wrong person for all this money.
My son's friends that were in the car know Mr. Marino's child.
Yes.
And he saw him do it.
Really? Who saw him do it? Raise your hand. Really? You saw him do it?
Yes.
This was during the day or at night?
At night.
What time at night?
I'd say around 9:30.
Who wants to go first? Perfect. Who are you?
My name's Brandon Castellano.
You know Juan?
I've never met them.
You've never met either one of them?
No.
And so tell me what you saw.
Like we were driving from San Diego, so we were coming home. I turned to the right, you know how you see people on the side when you're looking, and I seen someone throw the egg. I seen Hector Moreno throw the egg.
You'd never seen him before?
No, but I can recognize him because I saw him.
Really?
Yes.
What was so clear about Mr. Marino that you know it was Mr. Marino as opposed to Juan?
Because I got a good look at him. He's wearing a white shirt.
So my question is, are you identifying him by virtue of the clothes he was wearing or his face?
Both. I've seen his face and his clothes.
When?
When I turned to the right and I seen him throw the egg.
When you went up to the house, did you go with your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you say to your mother?
I pointed him out and said that was the one that threw the egg.
Without question, you pointed him out?
Without question, I knew without a doubt.
Is that right?
No. He came up to me and was cussing at me.
At you?
Yes.
Was he cursing at anybody else?
Him.
What was he saying to Juan?
Like the F word and all that, and something about Mexicans.
According to you, Ms. Castellano, you said in your complaint, my son and his friends got out of the car and told the other boys, not boys, that they saw them throw something at my car. Little Hector Marino, Jr., that's you, said, I'm sorry. Did you say that?
I didn't say that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Julie Castellano says 13-year-old Hector Moreno Jr. threw an egg at her car. She wants Hector Sr. to pay for the damage.
What did you say?
Nothing, because my dad came out and he said to go inside.
So what did your son tell you, Mr. Marino?
When I heard something that somebody was yelling outside my house, I went out. They said, what happened? I asked them. They say...
Who's they?
Them. Juan, his brother, and another two boys that they were. And I say, what happened? And he says, I don't know. And
Who's they? One boy is talking to you. Your son spoke to you. What did he say to you, Mr. Marino?
I asked them.
You asked him. I want to know what you asked your son.
I asked my son, what happened?
And what did your son tell you?
He said, I don't know. He told me, I don't know. And I said, well, you don't know. What's happened with the car? Because I saw she was something in the car. He says, I don't know. I said, get into the house. And then Ms. Castellano, she says, your son threw an egg to my car. And I asked them who did it. And everybody was...
I don't know.
Okay. And she says, there is the egg in my car, and you can feel the scratch in the chrome molding. And I say, it's okay. Take it to the car wash, and I pay for the car wash. Come back
She said
tomorrow.
you could see the scratch on the chrome molding.
Yes.
Not on the side of the car.
No, she put me and she made me to feel the chrome molding. And I say, it's okay. Just take it to the car wash. You come back tomorrow, and during the day, we'll see the damage, and we'll see what we can do. 3 days later, she sent me a bill for $2,500.
Out of the question. It's out of the question even if your son threw an egg at her car. But you lied to your father because you knew what happened with the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you said, I don't know anything. You knew what happened.
Yeah, and then I told my mom inside. I told her what happened.
But you lied to your father. Yes. Right?
Yes.
And you lied too when you said, I didn't know anything.
Because I was afraid.
Well, when did you finally tell the truth?
When he was like going to talk with us about the damage.
All right. What I want to see is the estimate that you have for this car, Mr. Castellano.
I have the first estimate that I got.
Let me just take a look at it. I just want to see what these estimates generally look like. Point of impact, right front. 18 days to repair.
That's why I don't know if it was just an egg. I mean, I know I heard a thump, but it could have been a number of eggs. It could have been something because my car had nothing, no dent, no scratches in it before.
Miss Castellano.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm looking at the damages that you are attributing to this one thud on your car, where, according to the defendant's father, and you agreed with that you actually walked over with him and made him touch where the goo was of the egg. Right? You heard one thump. One. So unless there was some sort of rock or abrasive material plucked in this egg, which is highly doubtful, it was an egg that hit your car, not for $2,500 worth of damage on the bumper. It just doesn't happen. But in any event, I am not satisfied that this young man did it. I have another young man who acknowledges that he did. I think you ought to sue his family. And if the case comes before me, then we'll get down to more of the basics as to what kind of damage an egg causes to a car that requires 18 days to repair. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I have the witness here that actually saw little Mr. Hector Marino throw it.
He didn't do that. It was his friend.
Her Elizabeth Ellison is suing her neighbor, 25-year-old telemarketer Cynthia West, for stealing her dog. Cynthia is countersuing, claiming Elizabeth filed a false report with Child Services.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 56 on the calendar in the matter of Ellison versus West. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Ellison, you and Miss West were friends.
Yes.
Your complaint states that you had an argument over something.
The children.
And subsequently you were receiving some harassing calls. You decided that you needed some protection, so you got a dog.
Yes.
It is your claim that the defendant, in retaliation for something, enticed the dog onto her property and subsequently adopted the dog. You want the dog returned to you?
Correct.
Or its value?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you lived in the same neighborhood?
About 1.5 years, 2 years.
Is that how you know her, from the neighborhood?
Yes.
When did you get the dog?
The 15th of March.
Where did you get the dog?
I used to be a dog groomer by trade, and one of my former customers asked me to take her because her daughter had very severe allergies. I had to get rid of the animals, unfortunately.
What kind of dog is it?
She's a Dalmatian Black Lab mix.
She's a mutt?
Yes.
So you took the dog?
Yes.
Didn't pay for the dog, but you took the dog. Where did you put the dog when you brought the dog home?
We tied the dog outside in the front because we were having a lot of harassment problems.
Is it a fenced yard?
Not in the front, no.
What was she tied with?
She was tied with a brand new chain and collar and that we bought her before we bought.
Did the dog have a license on the collar?
No.
So that there was no identifying mark on the collar?
No.
What time did you come home from picking up the dog?
About 5:30, 6 o'clock.
And what time did you find the dog missing?
I didn't put her out until about 9:30.
At 9:30 you found the dog missing?
Yes.
What did you do?
First, we went out searching for her all over the neighborhood. And my husband said she's probably down at Cindy's. At first I didn't think Cindy would, go that low, but she did. And we made signs, and we put the signs out early the next morning. My husband
Where did you put out the signs?
On the telephone poles, one being right beside her home, and another one down the street, and all up and down Galbraith Road, which is the off street from where we go to.
Okay.
I called the SPCA, who had told me that the dog wasn't there yet. I have a lost dog report where I filed the lost dog report that morning. I also got a copy of the sheltered animal report. When I went to go to the SPCA on the first day, the very next morning at 10 o'clock, the animal was not there yet. It wasn't until 1:35 until the animal was picked up by Cindy. She called the SPCA.
Sure, we'll get to her in a second. Okay, now how did you find out the dog was with Miss West?
My daughter went to a local pharmacy around the corner from where we live, which views the backyard of Mrs. West's home. She came in crying, saying that Lacey was in Cindy's backyard. So we went back in the back alley.
When was this?
That was a week. It was on the 28th.
Okay.
I said, okay, let's go make sure, Ripley. I said, because, we want to make sure before we call the police.
Okay, so the answer is, was your dog, and did you call the police?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Called the police, you went to her home with the police?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
And she showed the police the adoption papers because she had since adopted this dog?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. West, when did you find this dog?
On the evening of the 15th, had to be about 11:30 at night. It was running freely through the neighborhood. I have a videotape where this dog ran, in an hour and 15 minutes, it ran 17 times through my yard.
Why would you videotape this dog?
I have a security camera on my house because this woman continually harasses me.
Is it on all the time?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I called the SPCA. It was running out in the street, back and forth in the yard. And I opened the door and I said, "Hey, puppy," and the dog walked right in my house. Then, I believe it was Monday, I had called to see if the owner had claimed the dog. And they said that no one had called for the dog, and I went down to see her. Owner has 5 days to claim. I waited 6. And then I went with my son and adopted the dog.
Did you see any signs that Miss Ellison put up in your neighborhood?
No, that's a complete lie.
You didn't see? No, I don't know whether it's a complete lie or not.
I didn't see any.
The answer is you did not see any
I didn't
signs.
see any.
Okay, now let's get to your counterclaim for a minute.
Okay.
Your counterclaim is that the plaintiff vindictively called protective services, uncross your arms, called protective services and said things about you with regard to your children, causing your children to be removed from your custody for over 3 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I'd like you to tell me about that because that's your counterclaim.
Yes. In the period when we were friends, there were several times that she stipulated to me that no matter what happened, not to call 241 Kids because she runs a very filthy household. And so we had agreed to that. If we hadn't, I'd have called Children's Services before she did. But I give my word,
I don't want to hear you. Go ahead.
On March 1st, Children's Services knocked on my door, claiming that they had got a report for a filthy house. Supposedly there was garbage in my house up to here, that I beat my kids, that I didn't feed my kids, and several other allegations.
Okay.
And my children were removed from me until there was a parental screening done.
Just a second. That's not what Protective Services does. They don't come in, remove children for 3 weeks while they do an investigation. When they receive a report, they come in and they say, "Can we come into your house?" And they come in and they make certain observations. So if they came into your house, they must have found your house filthy.
No.
Did they speak to your children?
Yes.
And it was at that time that they removed the children?
My children weren't actually...
Answer. Was it at that time that they removed the children?
They were placed under a safety agreement.
Okay. So they allowed the children to remain in your home under an agreement with you. Is that right?
No.
With whom?
My children were not allowed to be left alone with me whatsoever. I either had to have someone stay with me or they had to go to my mother's.
Okay. So they were allowed to stay with you if there was someone else in the house. And that was after they spoke to the children?
It was...
After they spoke to the children?
No.
Wrong.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Elizabeth Ellison says neighbor Cynthia West stole her dog in retaliation for calling child services. Cynthia is countersuing for defamation of character.
When was the agreement entered into that you would not be left unsupervised with your children?
On March 1st.
So this is before the dog disappeared? Was there an investigation?
Was there an investigation?
That's my question.
Yes, I have an open case.
So your case was not marked unfounded. It is still an open case.
I can explain to you why.
Just answer my question.
Okay, yes.
The case was not marked unfounded, which means that there was no merit to the claims. It was an open case, which means it's still outstanding and subject to investigation.
It'll be closed the end of this month.
Who knows?
I do.
Do you have any reports from social services?
That's confidential information. It would have to be subpoenaed.
So that you don't have them?
Exactly.
Do you have any initial reports that were furnished from social services?
Those are not public information.
Oh. Is this the first time that social services has visited your home?
Oh, yes.
The first time?
First. Very first.
Why would you and the defendant talk about not calling social services? I mean, I've had lots of friends in my life. One of the things that we certainly never talked about was never calling social services about how we are as parents. We talked about a lot of other things. We complained about our husbands, the local market, but we never had a discussion about social services. Why would you have an agreement with her not to call social services, Miss West?
That was a stipulation that she set down, not I.
No, it was a stipulation you sat down by
Now,
being a
okay, just a
drug
second.
head.
Miss Ellison, you interrupted again, but I'm going to come back to you
sorry.
for a second. I'm not going to ask you whether or not you placed this call.
It's an anonymous hotline.
It was because it's an anonymous hotline, so I'm not going to ask you whether you did or not. But it is your belief that because she thought that you placed this call, she retaliated by taking the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I have proof she took the dog.
Let me see.
This is a Coleraine Township Police Department police report. If you would read it, you would see at the bottom, it states that she admitted taking my dog. And she also knew it was my dog. She told him when she got there, when he got there.
Don't tell me what she told him. I'm looking at it.
Sure you don't have a copy of that?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to give both of you 1, 2, 3, then you're out of here. Do you understand?
Yes.
Did social services come to visit your house?
Yes, ma'am. I have a copy of my...
Can I see it, please?
Human resource.
Because I see that after she believed you called on her...
Yes, she did. She called on me.
All right.
May I comment?
Sure.
I did not make that call. I'm not the only person that knows she runs a filthy house.
Okay. All I can tell you is she has this document here, which you clearly do not have, which indicates that her case was immediately closed.
They made a surprise visit. Just like her. Sorry.
I like to conduct a very orderly place. Clean, neat, and orderly.
Go ahead.
You don't have this, that your case was closed. Is that right?
No, because my case is still ongoing. Would you like for me to answer that why? You had asked me that before.
Sure.
The reason my case is ongoing, part of the social interaction with her and I, we smoked marijuana together. I was a recreational user. She gets high all day,
I don't want to hear.
That's what...
Shh, shh. Listen to me. Case closed. Case still open. That's the objective fact.
Because I admitted to my recreational use is the only reason I have an open case.
Because they caught you at the door, you and that Nicole, your witness, smoking a joint.
Listen to me.
And you know what happens in my house?
What? You don't understand? You're going to both be out of here. Well, Miss West, police officer attributes the following to you. She stated that Miss Ellison had her kids taken away, but all she did was take away her dog, Miss Ellison's dog. So she, quote, went pretty light on her. That's what you told the police.
Can I respond?
Yeah, the police don't lie.
Well, no, I'm not going to lie.
You don't get it. Yes, I'm waiting for you to respond.
Okay. This was after she had come to my backyard and was cussing and hollering that I had her dog. That was the first point at which I was aware that this dog had previously belonged to her. And I did tell them that, but like I said, it was after that she had pointed out to me, you have my dog, and a few other explicit words mixed in there. But she had pointed that out to me. So at that point, I did know that it was her dog. But that was the first time that I had knowledge of that.
Who knows? Okay.
Nobody tapes the dog in a video yard.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Why don't you be quiet?
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry.
I have several things to consider. Right now, the dog has been with you for quite some time. Dog is integrated into your household?
Yes.
And you, I assume, take good care of this dog?
Yes.
Good.
No.
I don't want to hear from you yet. I'm primarily concerned about the dog, the children involved. Right now, she is the legal owner of that dog, and your lawsuit wants either the return of the dog or the value thereof, which you place at $500. Quiet. That's what your lawsuit says.
The lawsuit is for, the $500 is for harassment. We would like to have the dog back. That's all we've ever wanted.
What I'm telling you is she is now the legal owner of this dog, and I have to make a judgment as to how I'm going to resolve your lawsuit. I believe that there is a substantial possibility that Miss West did in fact come to your property, unchain the dog, and take the dog. That is a possibility. It is also a possibility that the dog got free.
I agree.
And was in fact roaming around. What she did was she did not secrete the dog. She brought the dog to the ASPCA immediately. You had an obligation to be vigilant and you could go to the ASPCA every day to see if the dog was there. The dog, I'm
called
speaking.
every day.
I don't care, call. I'm speaking. You had an opportunity to go to the ASPCA every day for day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look for your dog. You did not do that. So put your hand down. So since the dog has been in her custody, you had an opportunity to go and pick up your dog. You did not do that. She did not hide the dog. And there is, again, that possibility that your dog did, in fact, get out. Just get out. She probably knew it was your dog. Not sure, but I don't indulge myself in potentials or possibilities. I'm speaking. So I am awarding you $500. Even though you did not pay for this dog, I believe that Miss West knew or should have known that this was your dog and that there was a bit of retaliation in her keeping the dog and not calling you and letting you know that she had found the dog, and that there was something sneaky about the way she went about going there and legally adopting the dog. But she has legally adopted the dog. The dog is hers. It has been with her and her family for a long time. Okay. Now, Ms. West, I'm going to get to your counterclaim, which I am dismissing. What state do you live in?
Ohio.
The state of Ohio does not remove children from their home without cause for 3 weeks without taking a parent to court. Period. End of discussion. No state does that. The state may say, I'm going to give you a warning, clean up your house, but if the state of Ohio is still part of this union, there are certain due process rights that you have. And if your children were removed from your home, as you state in your claim, as a result of what is an anonymous call, and it may well have been Miss Ellison who called. May well have been. But it doesn't make any difference. She did not remove the children from your home. The state removed the children from your home, which means that they found some cause to remove the children from your home. Since you do not have the paperwork to show me what the cause was, I have to assume...
I do have.
Well, you do have now. Well.
I do have the paper for the safety agreement. I do not have the letter that she has. I left that at home.
I don't want to hear the letter for the safety agreement. I want a report from the state indicating why they removed the children from your home.
This is what this is.
Well, I'll take a look at it. That doesn't look like... I don't want to hear from you. You're finished.
Okay, no problem.
Well, they clearly found you using drugs.
I admitted to it. They asked
whether you admitted to it or they found it. One of the stipulations was adults will refrain from all illegal drug use in the home. Who else lives in the home other than you and your 2 children?
My husband. Nicole's staying with us right now.
Excuse me?
Nicole Lake, this lady right here. Her mother left and went to Florida, so she's staying with me.
She was the one they found doing drugs.
Shh. Don't want to hear you. What do you show me? I read this already.
In the highlight, it shows that Miss Ellison admitted to being the one who called 241.
What difference does it make? The police had cause. The police had cause to remove your children. They either saw or you admitted to using drug use. And listen to me, Miss West, I'm not stupid. If the authorities came to your home and found nothing untoward in your home, found you perfectly straight, making matzo ball soup in your kitchen, right? And you just volunteered to them that you used drugs, volunteered to them, you must think that I was born 2 days ago. That's not what happens. They had evidence. They either found you in a condition of being under the influence, they smelled something in your home, they found something in your home, something happened, and then you admitted that you used drugs. But a normal person doesn't invite authorities into their home and say to them, let me tell you everything. Sometimes my house isn't neat and sometimes my kids' clothes are unclean, but the worst thing that I do is use drugs. We understand each other. Your counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't understand how I knew the dog was...
25-year-old outreach coordinator, Monessa Fong, is suing her ex-boyfriend, 33-year-old counselor Albert Chung, for injuries she received during a sexual assault.
Order. All rise. That's case number 112 on the calendar in the matter of Fong versus Chung. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Fong, you tell a very, very aggressive story about actions taken by the defendant, who was then your boyfriend. For some reason, which I'm sure you will explain, you decided that you didn't want to prosecute this case criminally. Is that right?
Yes.
When did this incident take place?
January 27.
Tell me what happened on January 27th.
Defendant Albert Chan, he discovered that I was going to display clothes at a ballroom dance school, and he became very jealous, and
he went with you.
He insisted he has to go. While we were there, he took me into a storage room. He started screaming at me, calling me names. He also attempted to burn my clothes and burn my face using a lighter.
In the storage room?
Yes, he tried to injure me and burn my face.
You managed to get free, according to your complaint, from the storage room. Is that right?
Yes, there are people there, and people knocked on the door. He left, and when I tried to leave, he was still behind my car.
And he got into the car with you?
Yes, so I gave him a ride home. While I was driving, he blew anger at me. He punched in the windshield and tried to break the window. He also pulled the handbrake, tried to stop the car, and he yelled at me and tried to grab me out of the car. He said he wanted to die with me. And there were policemen behind us, and they took him out of the car.
And you were actually taken into custody. Is that right, sir?
No, the police took me out because I have a open can of the beer, and then they thought I was drunk. But
where did they put you, Mr. Chung?
On the street.
They left you just on the street?
On the street.
You left, is that right?
I told the policeman I was very scared. I do not want the defendant to be in my car again. The police officers told me I could file a police report. And
did you do that?
Yes, I went to a local station and filed a police report.
That night?
That night. And an emergency restraining order was granted to me that night.
And what happened when you got home?
When I stepped into my house, it was close to 2 o'clock in the morning. I heard defendant Albert Chan leave a message on my recording. He sounded angrily on the phone. He threatened me to pick up the phone. I did not pick up the phone. 15 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I knew it was him, so I did not answer. And I tried to call 911. And defendant called in my phone at the same time, so I could not dial out. He threatened me to give him $35 for the taxi fare.
For the cab fare?
Yes, I refused, but he threatened that he'll make a scene out of it and wake up my neighbors. So I brought the money out and gave it to him. He forced his way in. Once he's inside, he grabbed me and threw me on the ground. He got on top of me. He twisted my wrist. He injured my spine and my joint, and he attempted to rape me by pulling down and ripping my pants. And I brought my evidence of the ripped and torn pants.
I don't have to see them.
The elastic was broken.
Go ahead.
And I started screaming, and he stopped. For the rest of the night, he abused me by threatening me to drain the toilet cleaner. He forced me to smell lighter gas. He threatened me that if I reported the police, he would kill me.
How did it come about that he left your apartment?
My mother called about 9 o'clock in the morning. The first time he did not let me answer the phone. I said, if I don't answer, my mother will call the police. Then he let me answer the phone. My mother said she was coming over. So then the defendant left. And I called the police and made the second police report. But I told the police officers that I do not want him to be arrested because I was too scared that this guy will retaliate.
Let me see the police report.
This is the first police report. This is the second one. And the bottom is stated that I asked the officer to not arrest the defendant.
Why?
Because I was too terrified.
Then why do you come to court now, Ms. Fong?
Because it's 4 months after, and also putting me in jail is very intense, that he will become very angry and retaliate. I also have the photos of the policeman took on me. It was kicking on my face that was injured. Also on the damaged carpet, on the damaged closet door, and the damaged portable closet, and also the burned clothes. The policeman also took his lighter and burned the clothes for evidence.
All right, Mr. Chung, I have a couple of questions for you, sir, because I've read your answer. Now, there is no question that you did, in fact, pull the emergency brake. Is that right?
Yeah, I did pull the emergency brake, the handbrake, yes. I want to mention why I need to pull the handbrake, because I told her to stop the car because I feel we were arguing in her car and she drives pretty dangerous. That's why
I read your story. That's not a reason to pull a handbrake.
Okay.
She hadn't been drinking that night you had. You had an open can of beer, is that right?
Right.
Okay. So the police took you out of the car. And how long did you stand out on the street waiting for a taxi cab?
Around like an hour and a half.
And you were very angry at that time.
Yes, I were angry.
Then why did you go to her house that night? Because there's no question that you went back to her house. Is that right?
Right.
Now, you didn't live with her.
I did not live with her.
Then why did you go back to her house after being very angry? Listen to me, Mr. Chung, because I'm very smart. You tried to get out of the car. She wouldn't let you out of the car, according to you. You were so frightened of the way she was driving erratically that you pulled the emergency brake on the car, according to you. Is that right?
Yes.
The police came and rescued you. Is that right?
No,
they rescued you by getting you out of the car. Is that right?
Right, just getting me
That's
out.
according to you. They rescued you by getting you out of the car. Now you're rescued. She can't hurt you anymore with the car. So, quiet.
Excuse me.
I'm speaking.
Okay.
So you're standing outside it for an hour and a half, and it's very late at night.
And
About
very
midnight?
Cold. And midnight.
And very cold.
And really, really cold.
And you don't live with her.
No.
Then why don't you go home?
Because...
No, look at me. Why don't you go home?
Because I was angry, and I heard she told the police I'm making trouble on her, and I was angry. I just wanted to go to her.
So you were angry.
Right.
So now you arrive at her house after having had a little to drink, being out in the cold for an hour and a half, and you're very angry. And what do you do when you get to the house, Mr. Chung?
I want to talk to her.
What do you do? Did you call her and tell her you wanted $35 for a cab?
Oh, I did.
She gave you the $35 for the cab. Is that right?
Right.
Was the cab waiting for you?
They kept waiting for me.
And then you went back upstairs.
Right.
Why did you go back to her apartment?
I was angry, and I know I was stupid. I go back to her house.
So what did you do to her when you got to the apartment?
I argued with her.
Tell me how you argued with her,
Okay.
sir.
I told her, how come she just ignoring me, and when the police come, she told the police she just don't know me, something like that, just like her, just like friend.
Are you telling me, sir, that you didn't put your hands on her?
Oh, I never put my hand on her.
No, he's lying.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Manessa Fong says ex-boyfriend Albert Chung injured her during a sexual assault. Manessa says Albert terrorized her over the course of 24 hours.
How long did you stay there that evening?
All night.
Did she ask you to leave?
She never asked me to leave.
That's a lot of baloney, sir. That's baloney. Because even if you were only arguing with her verbally, she would have asked you to leave.
She didn't ask me to leave. She let me sleep in her living room at the floor. She told me, because I'm legally blind, I'm visually impaired, I cannot drive, and it was late, around like 2 o'clock, and she let me sleep in her living room, and next morning she woke me up, and then I left. But we were arguing for a long time.
Right.
Right.
Why do you believe that Miss Fong would have made 2 police reports if you had not threatened her?
Because when the argument, by the time, my language was very strong and insulting her, and she was angry, and I just want to make sure you understand I didn't do anything physically.
I don't believe that, sir. I believe that you did something physically to her. I believe that you did. I believe that you went there that night and you were very, very angry.
Right.
And when you are very, very angry, based upon something that you did earlier that evening, you, for whatever reason, wanted her to stop the car, and you pulled the emergency brake up. You could see good enough to pull up the emergency brake.
I don't need to see, I can feel it.
Just like you could feel her face. You pulled up the emergency brake, which means, Mr. Chung, that you have a temper. And what she did later on that evening, which was, according to you, felt sorry for you and let you sleep on the floor of her apartment, that doesn't sound like the kind of woman who would not let you out of a car if you wanted to get out of the car. So you got a temper. You got a temper. And I believe that you punched the windshield on the car. I didn't break it, but I believe that you punched it.
I did.
Sure, because you have a temper. And that was before you were standing outside for an hour and a half in the cold at 1 o'clock in the morning. That was before. After you were really mad because she was ignoring you in the ballroom. Right? Good. You better stay away from her. Because, you see this judge? You may get some very nice judge if you go near her again. You may get somebody who will be very sympathetic with the fact that you tell them that you can't see, you're legally blind, you're a poor soul, all right? You can't put your hands on anybody. Never. In anger. And get away with it. And I'm just very sorry that you didn't follow through. But I tell you something else. If you ever go near her again, ever, it is very possible that you're going to get unlucky and get somebody just like me. Do you understand? And if you get somebody just like me, you're going to go to jail. And they don't care what your handicaps are. Do you understand?
Yes.
Keep your hands to yourself and stay far away from her. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000 as requested. Stay away from her.
Thank you.
You are excused. You may step out.
I was terrified. The defendant was threatening me if I arrest him and put him in jail, he will kill me and my family.
I didn't do it, and if I did it, after the police did the full investigation, I already been in the jail.
On Hannah, step forward, please. All parties on Hannah.
Lisa Hanna says she was evicted from her in-laws' house after her marriage to their son came apart. Michael and Jean Hanna say their daughter-in-law left with everything but the kitchen sink, and they want their stuff back.
Order. All rise. Order.
Judge, this is case number 79 on the calendar in the matter of Hannah.
Thanks, Berg.
You may
The
be seated.
battling Hannas. I read your complaint, your answer, your suit, your countersuit, your suit against you. You're the ex-husband? Yes. Your answer to the suit. So we're going to try to do this in an orderly fashion and take these cases in some sort of reasonable progression. Mr. and Mrs. Hanna, this is your former daughter-in-law, or soon to be, I assume, your former daughter-in-law. You have a matrimonial case that's supposed to be heard sometime in 1997. Is that correct?
Yes.
You are suing your former daughter-in-law for a variety of things that you say she stole.
That's correct. That's correct.
Well, you want to tell me how this came about?
We rented our property to Mark and Lisa. Our home
Mark is
in
your son?
Yes, in Huntington Beach. And we rented under the stipulation that in the event of a split up, that both parties would have to move out of the property. This would, so we wouldn't take sides with either one.
They have children together?
Yes, they do.
Two.
Two.
How old are they?
They're 6 and 3.
Go ahead.
Mark served notice and gave his notice to move out of the property. They were splitting up. We told him that Lisa would have to move out by May the 31st or June the 1st. About halfway through the month, Mark called us, said that they were having money problems, getting enough money to get an apartment for the kids. So we told him we'd extend it for 30 days. She would definitely have to be out on June the 1st.
Did you ever tell that to her?
Yes.
Personally, not through your son?
No, we told both parties, and we told her, yes.
When did you tell her?
When they moved in, and then during the split up in May, we went over to the property with our realtor, expecting and talked to her then, told her that June 1st was the limit on it.
Are you telling me, sir, that it wasn't until the middle of May that you told her personally that she had to move out by the end?
We told her when Mark gave notice.
So now what about this stolen property? Before I start to ask you some questions, Mr. Hanna.
On June the 2nd, when I served the papers, the garage door was open. Everything was in the garage then, the washer, the dryer, refrigerator, file cabinet, and that was everything that I could see in the garage. In the house, we couldn't check it. I do know that it was there on May the 10th when we went through the property. When we came back to take possession on the property, approximately July the 14th, July the 14th, we came by, the garage door was open, everything's cleared out. Washer, dryer, refrigerator, file cabinet, and everything else in the garage was gone. We asked Lisa, we met with Lisa, we asked her what happened to the property, where it was at. She said that the house was broken into and all of our stuff was stolen. We at that time asked her if she had filed a police report. She said yes. We asked her to see a copy. We said we'd need a copy in order to turn it into our homeowner's insurance and get compensation for it. She refused to give us a copy of the police report, so we at that time went to the Huntington Beach Police Department. We had the police department pull up all of the records on that property for police calls. Nothing showed up in that as far as a burglary.
Lisa Hanna's in-laws threw her and her kids out of the house when the marriage to their son busted. Michael and Jean Hanna say she stole stuff. She says not.
So what you're missing is a washer, a dryer, and a file cabinet?
No, we're missing our, here's a complete list. We're missing the security system. This is a night security system, 24-hour monitor. Heat sensors for the house, smoke detectors. She took the drapes, rods out of the 3 upstairs bedrooms. Let's see, she took the oak towel racks, all bathroom fixtures, actually pulled the vanity off of the wall in the bathroom. She took the microwave, desk, chair, switch plates off of the walls, all of the electrical switch plates, they were gone.
Lisa, tell me your side of the story.
Well, during the whole time that I lived in that home, these people had a garage remote to the garage, and they had access to the house.
Now, madam, she was very polite.
Yes.
During the month of May is when Mark abandoned us and took almost all the belongings out of the home. We came home on May 2nd.
What kind of belongings? The belongings that you're talking about, the belongings that are on this list?
Belongings.
Can I see the list, please? Go ahead.
Clothing, food, toys, my bicycles, the kids.
I don't think that they're complaining about these things. We're going to get to the suit with regard to your soon-to-be ex-husband in a minute.
Well, when we came home, the garage door and the lights were on, the doors were open, and all these belongings to the house. The only things that were left were the couch, the VCR, a kitchen table, my bed, and a dresser, and my son's bedroom set. I went away in Palm Springs and came back, and that's what I came home to, was no refrigerator in the garage, and there was no breaking in type of entry to the home, and that's when I learned that the Hannas had a remote control to the garage.
All right, so now I have a couple of questions for you. I was sort of shocked when I read the complaint, quite frankly. She was living there with your 2 grandchildren, and what I don't understand is why you evicted her.
Because she was not going to pay rent. We asked her to pay rent on June the 2nd.
Was she working?
We gave her, yes, she was. She was working full-time.
And was your son helping with the support of his children when he left?
When he left, yes. He's the one that made the final rent payment.
No,
and told
after
her,
he left.
After he left.
Was he paying any support?
He has not paid any support.
He's been off disabled. He was in an accident, and he is still disabled.
Well, Mr. Hanna, how could you evict her and your grandchildren, knowing that your son was not contributing to the support of his children?
Because we had told both of them, we even told Lisa that our grandkids will not suffer. We will make sure that if they have to, they can come live with us until you get on your feet.
Well, just a minute.
Without me.
That sounds as if you're trying to gain an advantage by his not supporting the children. That doesn't sound quite fair to me. And that's, that was distressing to me when I read this complaint. If you want her to get on her feet, then you say, live in my property rent-free until you get on your feet.
We couldn't support her any longer. We had helped financially the whole time they were married. The payments on our home that we were making for them to live in, we sacrificed. Our payments on the home was over $1,700 a month. We let them live there for $920 a month to help them to get on their feet. She wouldn't quit her spending. We cannot physically support her for the rest of our lives.
What do you mean she wouldn't quit her spending? How much did she?
Compulsive spending.
How much were you earning at the time?
I make $14 an hour, and I had huge mass growing in my abdomen and had to have a surgery in February, and I came home to recover and discovered many phone calls from creditors that the bills were not being paid, and that's why we split up.
Listen to me. We'll get to that in the second lawsuit. All right. Do you have any proof that she took this property?
It was left in her possession. We know it was there on the 2nd of June. It was total vengeance.
No. Just a second.
Retaliation.
Well, that's supposition at this point. Do you have any proof? You had access to the house. Correct?
No, we did not have access.
We did not.
Just a second. How did you? No, I didn't say you went into the house. I asked you if you had access to the house.
No, we did not.
Did anyone have a key to the inside of the house?
Not to my knowledge.
Can you get into the house through the garage? Can you get into the house through the garage?
Yes, you can. But you don't have the remote.
Who had the remote?
I had one and they had one.
No, Mark had the other.
Just 1 second. So that Mark had access to the house as well with the remote. Is that correct?
To my knowledge,
yes.
Did you have a remote for the garage?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you take any property from the house?
The only thing I took was my personal belongings, my clothing, a television, and a VCR.
Do my underwear fit good on you, Mark?
We're talking about this property.
This property. He
now.
took all of that. All of my clothing and.
Okay. So as far as I know, there are now 2 people that both deny that they took any property from the house, either from the garage or from the inside of the house. And 2 people who had access to that property and no witnesses.
Lisa Hanna's in-laws threw her and her kids out of the house when the marriage to their son busted. Michael and Jean Hanna say she stole stuff. She says not.
We're going to put this case aside for a moment because now I have a second suit by you against him. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you two have a seat, please? Sir, listen to me. You are the defendant in this lawsuit, so you stand over there. You come over here because...
Does my dad come over?
Well, he can sit there for a minute if I need him. All right. Mrs. Anna, you filed a lawsuit for something, and I don't know what, against your husband. Tell me why you're suing him, what you want the court to do.
I've filed for harassment. All I have is received harassment from this man and the family, and I want peace. I want my kids to be able to live in peace and not be jerked from one house to another. When I go to a place to pick my kids up, I'd expect him to be there and giving my kids in peace. I'm tired of it. My kids deserve peace, and they deserve security, and I'm just tired of it. I want freedom from all his harassment at my job. I have letters from physicians, from co-workers on the switchboard, him calling and threatening everybody, along with myself. I've got it all right here. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all of it. I'm tired of the mental stress, the physical. I'm tired of losing my wages. I work 2 jobs, day and night, to support and pay rent. I'm tired of it. I get nothing from this man, and my kids deserve.
How did your kids wind up with their father? They aren't living with him now.
He took them November 1st from Nicholas's new school. He just started a new school. He went there, took him.
Prior to November 1st, the children were living with you?
With me, yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
We were with her for 3 weeks, Your Honor. And ever since the divorce had started, she took the children to her.
You left the house in May.
Right.
And the children remained with her in May.
Right.
Now.
Until she left the house.
When she left the house, which was sometime in July, is that right?
Yes.
When you were evicted?
Yes.
What happened with the children?
They went with me to Escondido to a friend's.
Have the children been with your in-laws since the mid-August?
Early September. My son was going to be starting school, and they wanted to spend time with Nick before he started school. As much as there's animosity, it doesn't matter. The kids don't need to see that, and they have a right to see their grandparents, and I allowed it. From that point on.
So seeing their grandparents and living with their grandparents are two different things. Now,
yes.
In September, did they go to stay with?
They stayed with Mike and Jeannie, maybe 3 days, and then there was a death in their family, or a friend of theirs. So they were tied up, and then I learned that they let the kids go with him. I had no idea that he lived in Laguna Beach. I didn't know where. They were with him for some time.
So for the month of September, they were either living with your in-laws or with their father?
Yes, to my knowledge.
And the month of October, they were living with their father. Is that right?
To my knowledge, him or them.
Either one. They weren't living with you.
Or.
All right. Now, what happened in November?
We went to court, and I got them returned and put my son back in school.
But now they're with him.
November 1st, he took him out of Nicholas's brand new school that he was in.
My question to you, sir, is a simple one. Are you keeping the children now in violation of a court order?
The officer told me since
Don't tell me what the officer told you. The officer is not the appellate court for a family court judge. Lisa, be quiet.
No, because she broke the court order.
Well, I don't know when you're going to be going back to court, Mr. Hanna, but I'm telling you, if you don't think you're in violation...
to come and get them right now.
If you don't think you're in violation of a court order by retaining the children after a period of visitation, I'm telling you that you are. Were the children living with you?
Are the children there?
Quiet. Were the children living with you for the last 2 weeks?
No. The children have been between Mark and us.
What do you mean? But step up, around there. What do you mean between Mark and you? Let's talk about this past weekend. Where were the children this past weekend?
With us.
Right. And where were the children? Last week was a school week. Where were the children last week during school? Make sure I get the right answer, which is the truth.
They were with Mark.
Monday through Friday they were with Mark? Monday through Friday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday night.
Thursday and Friday we stayed at my parents'.
Right.
And Mark took Nick daily from our home to Lake Forest to school.
Okay.
Judge?
You folks are embroiled in a matrimonial case. And the one thing that you're losing sight of, all of you, I believe, is that there are only 2 innocents.
And we've tried to protect them, Your Honor.
Well, you know, sometimes grandparents interfere by trying to protect them. I have grandchildren.
Well-being is what's important to us.
Well, their well-being, it may be important to you, but their well-being is not served if they have even one dysfunctional parent. The only time that children grow up strong is if they have 2 parents that are healthy. And it sounds to me, quite frankly, as if this side is not worried about this side's emotional well-being. And listen, you talked, now I'm talking. And these are my sense impressions that I am able to make after 24 years. You have to be supportive of both parents. You are only supportive of your son. You're not supportive of her. She's the mother of these children. He's the father of these children. And if the two of them are acting irresponsibly towards their children, both of them acting irresponsibly, then it's up to you to act responsibly for the children on behalf of both of their parents. You did the wrong thing when you evicted her. Absolutely the wrong thing. She was living there with your two grandchildren, and there's no question in my mind that in this relatively short period of time, there was a lot of jockeying for who was going to get custody of these children. And to financially strip her of the ability to take care of the children, you were putting your son in a superior position to have an order of custody awarded to him. Now, evicting your two grandchildren from the house, and I don't care if you had to go into debt in order not to do that, as far as I'm concerned, is an inhumane, heartless thing to do. That's just my opinion. We come down to your lawsuit. Lawsuit requires evidence. Nobody saw her remove the things from the house. Did she have a motive to be angry with you? Some of the things that you suggest that was done in the house suggest to me that the person who did those things by removing towel bars and by moving plates was angry. So did she have a motive? Yes. Did she have an inclination? In all probability. But she did not have sole access to the house. He also had access to the house. And without some proof that she was the one who took this property, I am dismissing your lawsuit. As far as your counterclaim is concerned, Lisa, I am also dismissing your lawsuit against him and whatever counterclaim you say you have against him. That action will be taken care of as part of your divorce decree. These children require stability, and the only way they're going to have it is if their two parents start acting responsibly. They have to live in one place, not sometimes in your house and sometimes in your house and sometimes in your house. If she has a court order of custody, you are obligated to comply with that court order of custody to the letter until it is modified.
Then why won't she take the children?
She's going to take the children. You want to make arrangements for that today?
Sure.
Fine. You have the children here in 3 hours. You can make the exchange right in my chambers. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You step out.
And now, the next case.
All parties on acoustic versus Primes. Step forward, please.
Magician Mark Prines performs human levitation. After Naomi Kust volunteered to be raised, she says she wrenched her neck. He wants her to disappear.
Ms. Kust, I've read your complaint and I've read your answer, sir. You went to a party at a country club, correct?
The party started at a country club, that's correct.
And Mr. Prines was entertaining there doing his magic act?
Not at the country club, at the nightclub. We were transported in buses. It was a private party.
So you went to a nightclub afterwards where he was performing?
Where he was hired to entertain the guests.
And you volunteered to be hypnotized?
He asked for people to, he was doing magic tricks and hypnosis, and several people raised their hand, and he selected me amongst other guests.
You volunteered to be hypnotized?
I volunteered to be
hypnotized?
Yes.
Okay, let me hear as much as you remember about this performance from the time you got up on stage.
Okay. He hypnotized me. I remember while I was seated with the other hypnotized people up on the
How many
stage,
were there?
10 to 12 people, I believe. I was, one of the things he asked me to do was put my hand up in the air and say, you can't put your hand down until I say so. And so that was one of the things.
And you kept your hand up?
Yeah. And then while still under his control, he directed me as the grand finale.
Control. She is not under my control.
By definition, hypnosis is a sleep-like state when you are almost unconscious and you are in the control of the person speaking to you.
Hypnotism is the direct communication between to the subconscious mind. It is while in that state of mind where you can communicate with the subconscious mind directly, and whatever makes it into a person's subconscious is their reality.
Many people did what he told them to do. I'm going to let
Do you remember anything else?
Yes, I do.
Well, tell me what else you remember, and then there'll come a point when you don't remember anymore, and I'll hear your witness.
Fine. Thank you. So he directed me to come center stage. It was a table, 2 chairs were faced back to back in the middle of a dance floor at this nightclub.
They were
and there
facing
was
face to face.
there was a board stretched between the chairs, and he asked me to sit down first on the board and then lie down. So I did. And then he said, "Your body is getting stiff, stiffer and stiffer. You are getting stiff as a board. You are getting stiffer and stiffer." And at that point, I guess when I was very stiff, the board was removed. At least that's what people afterwards, they were amazed. They said,
do you remember the board being removed?
What I remember is I heard Mr. Prines yell out to the guests for help because I became, in the middle of the act, I think.
Let me say, I didn't yell out for help. I had 2 people from the audience that I had help me on each side.
What do you remember next?
What I remember was that I felt, okay.
Your name?
My name is Bert Finmark.
Finmark.
He had 2 of the other people that were hypnotized at each chair for support, and he had her levitated successfully for a few moments across the 2 chairs. At that
Without
point,
the board?
After the board was
After
taken
the board
away.
was removed.
At that point is where the problem came in. She partially awakened, and she sagged pretty severely at the neck and shoulder area.
I mean, she said...
She sagged because she was partially awakened. At that point, Mr. Prine and I believe another guest immediately...
Let me say, she did not
You
sag.
interrupting him.
Forgive me. She sagged pretty severely because immediately Mr. Prine and one of the other guests brought her back to level, and Mr. Prine proceeded to put her under hypnosis again and continued with the act. And after it was over, she complained a little bit at that stage of her neck hurting. And
Did you volunteer?
no, I did not.
Smart. You remember your parents' words, you never volunteer.
The magician, the volunteer, and the levitation act continues after
Mr. Prines, you want to tell me what happened that night, sir?
There are 3 ways that you can end the performance. What I did that evening was to show that she was, that her faith in what was happening had diminished, and it needed to be deepened. And I do this throughout the entire act. With
So
other
you bring them out a little bit and then you put them back in. You bring them out a little bit.
Well, actually, what happens just sort of happens, okay? If at any moment, it can be turned, okay? If I feel that she is...
Mr. Prines, but what you're telling me is, I'm trying to absorb all
I understand.
of this.
I understand.
What you're telling me is that you chose that evening to demonstrate to the audience that if she lost a little faith in what was going on, she could regress. And then you wanted to show them how you could then bring her back up into this solid board-like position. Now, that's what you just said to me, correct? Is that what you just said to me? In my words?
Yes.
All right, this is not a very difficult case. You are suing for $5,000, which is the maximum amount that this court can grant you. And I believe that you are entitled to some recompense. And
Sorry.
But I do believe that you are partially responsible for what happened to you because you acted irresponsibly for yourself without knowing what was involved, without asking appropriate questions. So the judgment in this court is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
Parties on Quay versus Quay Hampton. Step forward, please, all parties.
Ajile Quay claims her sister, Sabura Quay Hampton, abused her credit card. But Sabura says it's really about her sister's attitude toward her new boyfriend.
Order, all rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 1 on the calendar in the matter of Quay versus Quay Hampton. You may be seated.
Sisters. Who's older?
I am.
Well, I'm going to be very anxious to hear what brings sisters to my courtroom.
Okay, my sister and I were very, very, very close since children, since childhood. Like white on rice, wherever you saw me, you saw her, wherever you saw her, you saw me. We would walk down the street, people would say, are you twins or whatever, you know.
So when she needed a place to stay, I would say maybe October or September, October of last year. I was all for it. She needed a place to stay. That's my sister. I love her. I was with it, you know. So basically, we lived together. Couple
Who
months
else lived in your house?
It was herself and it was my nephew, who's about 4 years old, her son. So it was 3 of us living in my apartment. Like I said, she needed a place to stay. Winter was coming. We live in New York, and she didn't have a coat, or she felt that her coat that she had wasn't adequate enough for the winter. So she asked me if she could borrow my credit card to purchase a coat, and I let her borrow it on the basis that she only buy the coat, only the coat, and that she would pay me back the money. She asked to continue to hold the card because she was going to make the payments directly to the store where she purchased it from, and you need the card. If she was going to write a check, she would need the card because all the information is on the statement, but she was going to go there directly and she was going to pay. So I let her hold the card. She met this guy, and I would say about the summertime, early summer, and ever since then, everything went downhill. She was being disrespectful. She was disrespecting my house. She was cursing me out at the drop of a dime. She was just totally just.
Because you was trying to run my life.
No, you were. No, I was not.
My life.
That's not true.
Well, I gather you didn't like this new boyfriend.
No, it had nothing to do. It
that's
had
what
nothing
all
to do with
boils
the
down to.
boyfriend. It had nothing to do with the boyfriend.
All right.
That was
It was
totally separate.
his influence, as you saw it
His
on her.
influence, right?
Okay.
Like I said, it got to a point where she was just being totally disrespectful, and I asked her to leave my home, and that wasn't a pretty sight. She left angry. I was upset because how I was treated.
How did she treat you?
She cursed. Well, actually, she cursed me out. She called me every name in the book but a sister. After I took her in, took her son in, took her in, put up with her for a long time.
Take a deep breath. So then you got a bill.
So after she left, I got a bill in the mail for $779.
See, please.
And I was told
using the card.
That's a
You
lie.
knew I was using the card because I was coming in every day with bags.
Okay. Now here
And
you go.
you
it was on my credit though.
And you was wearing the clothes that I bought in the house. You
Miss
knew.
Hampton, she's told me her story. She said that you used her credit card and her new bill was $779.
Actually, Judge, it's $910 because I called Structure for that bill and I told them that I was not paying that bill because those were not my charges, and they then told me that it was for $910.
Miss Hampton, you don't deny that you used the card for more than just the purchase of a hat and coat.
No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I paid the coat bill. I paid the whole bill in full. After that, I asked her if I could use the card to get more things on the card. I asked her if I could use it, and she said on the terms that I pay her bill on time, okay, and make my timely payments. I made those timely payments, and I got credit boosted $200. She knew I was using the card. She saw me coming in with bags.
When was the last, well, don't tell me what she saw. When was the last time you made a payment on this card?
The last time I made a payment on the card was approximately July. I believe it was July.
Well,
it was June.
June. Well, I said approximately.
So now let me ask you this question. Everything was okay with your sister for a long time. She took you into her house?
Yes.
She took your son into your house?
Yes.
Were you working at the time?
Yes.
Were you paying expenses in the house?
Yes, she charged me rent.
How much rent did she charge you?
$150 every 2 weeks.
So that's $300.
That's a lie. It was $150 every month.
Well, every month. I forgot.
That's nothing
Well, that's
considering
I forgot.
Okay, so
It's been a while. I forgot.
So $150 a month. That's pretty
Oh, and
reasonable rent.
I would contribute towards the telephone bill because I use the telephone.
Sometimes.
And food. Every time I went food shopping, I gave half.
Sometimes.
All the time.
Okay. And did she ever babysit for your son for you when you wanted to go out?
Yes, she did.
But you had a new boyfriend, so that would be a couple of times a week she would babysit for your son?
Yes, she did.
So she was a pretty good older sister.
Yes, she was.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
As if he makes children very rapidly at his age. He's got a six-month-old. He's got a six-month-old child. Not all men.
That's their job. That's why God put men on this earth and women.
Achille Kwe claims her sister Sabura Kwe Hampton abused her credit card. But Sabura says it's really about her sister's attitude toward her new boyfriend.
Well, what do you think the problem was?
The problem, it all boils down to the fact that she doesn't like my boyfriend and she's trying to run my life, okay? I'm 20 years old. I can do what I want to do, whether I'm in her house or not, okay? And
I don't even know why I'm here, okay? Because if George would have never came on the scene as my boyfriend, we would have still been cool, we would have still been close, and she wouldn't even,
Why do you think she says that you disrespected her house?
Well, we did have arguments. She cursed at me, I cursed at her. Why did we have the arguments, though? Why did we have the
talk to
arguments?
me. What, other than the cursing, was there any other disrespect to your house?
She would bring this man to my house.
This is the boyfriend?
That's him. She would bring him to my house. Let me just explain. I lived there. The night, just to show you how close he was. Me and my girlfriends were hanging out one night, and I invited her to come. That's the fatal night, God forbid, that she met George. If I'd have known she'd have met this man, and this would have boiled down to this, I swear I would have never have invited her out with me.
How many times a week would you babysit for her after she met George? You're George, right?
Yes.
It wasn't that, I would say maybe once or twice. It wasn't that often because she was being...
Once or twice a week?
Once or twice a week. She was not doing the right thing, and she would leave her son with whoever would want to watch him over this man.
No, she wasn't.
Oh, that's a lie. Yes, it is. No, it's not a lie.
Okay.
You are crazy, okay? Because if my son was not with her, my son was with my grandmother, okay? You're lying.
Miss
All right? I don't drop my son with anybody. I wouldn't drop
Miss
him.
Hampton, listen to me. It sounds to me as if your sister was a pretty good sister to you. You're 20 years old?
Yes, I am.
How old are you?
23.
You made a few mistakes in your life so far?
Yes.
You're trying to get your life back on track?
Yes, I am.
What do you do for a living, George?
I work.
For whom?
A company.
What kind of work do you do?
Like stock, sales clerk, all types of things.
Are you really sincerely interested in her?
Yes.
You ever been married?
No.
You have any children?
2.
How old are your children?
One is 3, and I have a son. I have a daughter that's 3 and a son that's about 6 months.
Son was 6 months?
Yeah.
They don't live with you?
No.
Do you support them?
Yes.
How much?
Whatever I can is whatever.
You don't make a lot of money as working as a stock person.
Somewhat. I'm saying I'm wealthy. I'm all right.
You wealthy?
Not wealthy, but I'm saying I'm okay.
Stand up over here.
He's okay because she supports him on my
does not
credit
support
card.
me.
On my credit card, I have the
No, she
statement that
does
says she
not.
bought stuff from Structure. Ties, since when do women wear men's ties?
Yeah, I did buy
from
him a tie.
Structure?
I did buy him
You
a
bought
tie.
him ties on my credit
I
card,
did.
and you bought
And
him
I did.
jeans.
And-
Oh, listen, ladies.
and I
Oh,
paid
this
on it,
is
so I can
this
do
is
that.
getting. Listen to me. This is
On my
getting out of
credit.
hand for a courtroom. Mr. Hampton. Mr. Hampton.
Right.
You're
Right. George Wright.
George Wright. Well, I'm not sure if you're right about a lot of things because you're at your stage. You have 2 children. You've never been married. You work as a stock person, which means you don't make a lot of money. As a stock person, at least you don't make a lot of money.
It's part-time, so I'm all right.
Well, you can't work part-time and have 2 children. Who supports your children?
She does.
Me as well as the children's mother.
What are the? It's the same mother for both children?
No.
Oi.
2 sisters, a credit card bill, and a new boyfriend in the middle. Continues in a moment. Ajile Kwe claims her sister Sabura Kwe Hampton abused her credit card. But Sabura says it's really about her sister's attitude toward her new boyfriend.
Listen, Miss Quay. Listen to me very carefully. Sounds to me as if you did the right thing by taking your sister in. Took her in, you took your nephew in, you tried to make a home for them. Sounds to me as if she may be making yet another mistake.
I doubt that.
You can't do anything about that. Listen, you have a 4-year-old child. Sounds to me as if he makes children very rapidly at his age. He's got a 6-month-old. He's got a 6-month-old child. Not all men.
That's their job. That's why God put men on this earth and women.
Don't
That's
make
why Adam and Eve.
Miss
That's why God
Hampton.
created them.
Don't make another mistake. You look like a very nice lady. You've already got a 4-year-old child.
And
You're 20 years old.
And he
You've
does
already
support me, and we do live together. And he
You don't even
contributes
know
to
Just a minute. How she doesn't listen to me, Miss Hampton. Be smart.
You don't know nothing about me.
I want you to just. You don't have to be terrific in math to figure this out. According to the 2 of you, he moved in with you when his new baby was 2 months old. That he had with somebody else.
Nah, that's not it.
You just told me you had a 6-month-old baby. You moved with him with
He's 7 months. And
please. Judgment
me
in this
and the
case
woman
is for
was
the
not
plaintiff for
involved anymore.
$910. Listen, don't lend your credit card to anybody anymore. Thank you very much. That's all.
I'd like you to step out, please.
You don't have to prove who I'm with. I don't approve, and it has nothing to do with him. It has his influence on you. It has something with his. No, let me just let it boil down. It has something to do his influence on you to make you treat me like you did. That's what it boils down to.
If anything, I was helping her.
How was you helping her? How was you helping her?
Locked me out the house.
He was there for me.
Why did I lock the door? Okay. But why did I lock the door?
Because you're crazy.
But why?
Because you didn't want
But why?
me there.
It's our